All right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Rugby Championship 2023 competition. This one, Argentina will host the All Blacks for the first time in quite some time. But the exciting part of this game is Argentina. They have given the All Blacks a few good games overseas. We've seen them beat New Zealand and Australia. We've seen them beat New Zealand in their own backyard. And now the backyard, the roles are reversed. Argentina have got home field advantage. And after witnessing that game that we just saw for the Rugby Championship between South Africa and Australia, it's fair to say anything can happen in this competition. Currently, South Africa is sitting at the top of the table with the 5 points after getting themselves the bonus point victory over the Australians, winning that game 43 points to the 12. But looking through quickly at the starting lineups for these two sides, then we will be looking at some of the stats, previous fixtures, upcoming games for these sides as well. Looking through, first of all, at Argentina will be Thomas Gallo in the front row alongside Julio Montoya, and Sodoni gets himself the opportunity at tie head prop. Matthias Alimano at number 4 with Thomas Lavanini at 5, a fiery individual who will certainly be hoping to use that aggression in every chance that he gets throughout the fixture. Pablo Matera at number 6, actually going to be going head-to-head up against some of his old Crusaders teammates from Super Rugby not too long ago. Juan Martin Gonzalez, a standout player for the Argentines, had to be in there somewhere, and luckily he has got himself that spot at number 7. I should also mention there will be no Marcos Crema for this game or any in the near future. Rodrigo Bruni at number 8 to close out that Los Pumas. Fullback Gonzalo Bertrano gets the start at 9 with Santiago Carreras on his outside at number 10. Now, these two last year, they both made my team of the tournament. Gonzalo Bertrano, he's got a great running game, also dynamic kicking. So I'm intrigued to see what type of tactics we see from Argentina early on up against the All Blacks, whether they try and force them inside of their own half, which I believe would be the best tactic. We've seen sides doing that recently to the ABs, and it has been relatively successful. Lucio Cinti in the midfield alongside Matias Maroni, also Mateo Carreras out on the left wing, Bautista Dalgi out on the right, and Emiliano Buffelli, the last man to close out this Argentine side. In the chat, we have got Roof. Hello there, Hamish Kiwi Lads. It's a cold, rainy night here in Cape Town. There's Roof. Currently 6:30 a.m. here in New Zealand, so a nice early morning start for this game for a few Kiwis. But yes, South Africa, brilliant performance in that last match of the Rugby Championship. Here we go again. Hopefully a more competitive game this time, says username. Yeah, the last game split by 31. Anything less than that is an absolute bonus. If it's split by less than 10, though, I'm sure that would make a lot of people very happy. Looking at New Zealand's starting lineup, Ethan de Groot gets the opportunity once again at number 1. Dane Cole's number 2, probably one of the more surprising additions to the All Blacks squad and also to the All Blacks matchup up against Argentina. A few people debating, would it be Cody Taylor? Would it be Simasoni Taukei'aho? The answer is neither. Instead, Dane Coles does get himself that start. Tyrell Lomax going to be at number 3 after a great season for the Hurricanes. In the lock-in duo, it will be Scott Barrett at number 4, and Josh Lord is going to be starting at number 5. So a nice little bit of a mix of a younger and an older player there. Scott Barrett, there were a few questions whether or not he would be the number 6 or whether he would be in the lock-in duo. For now, he starts at 4, but perhaps that could change throughout the rest of the Rugby Championship. Shannon Frizzell starts at number 6. Captain Sam Cane at number 7, and Artie Savia going to be starting at number 8. Aaron Smith and Damian McKenzie, the 19 combo, and it's a relatively new one. They haven't worked together too much in the past. Aaron Smith, huge amount of experience, also very good at distributing that ball. Damian McKenzie, it was the question of him or Mwonga. They've decided to try and go with McKenzie to build up a bit more chemistry between him and Smith, just in case there is any sort of injury to Richie Mwonga heading forward. I think that is going to be a very entertaining combo to watch going up against Gonzalo Bertrano and also Santiago Carreras. Jordy Barrett starts at number 12 with Rico Ioane on his outside. At 13, Caleb Clark out on the left wing. Amoni Narua, the lone debut for the All Blacks in this matchup. He's got a big opportunity here. Plays right wing for the Chiefs and also scores tries on the regular when playing throughout Super Rugby Pacific. So one to watch out for in this game. And then Beauden Barrett close out the starting lineup for the All Blacks. They have decided to go with him as number 15. And I believe that will be strategic going forward. Definitely if there are a few injuries lurking around. Will Jordan still out with injury, so he is back in New Zealand. Same can be said about Lester Nuku, another player they did leave behind from this Argentine trip. But Bowden Barrett alongside McKenzie, couple playmakers. Have to wait and see how they do go. But looking through once again at the comments, we've got this one. Oh, this is the one I've been waiting for. Go the All Blacks. For me, Cornish and Cornish language. Tim, your pronunciation of Kerno Wick is bang on Amish, says Kerno Wick. Thank you very much, mate. Let's go the AB, says Hensel. And where's your New Zealand jersey, bro? Says Connor. Well, I've got a Puma one on at the moment. Got to be impartial for this game. And I don't know whether or not it's a popular opinion when I say I want to see a close game between these two sides. I know a lot of All Black supporters would love to see a one-sided affair where the All Blacks get themselves over the line relatively comfortably, definitely with the Rugby Championship, the way that it is sitting now after the Springboks got themselves that big win over the Kiwis, over the Aussies. But I'm hoping for a close one here. And as you guys know, we will be impartial the whole way through. Evening, my friend, how long till the kickoff? At the moment, we have got around 34 minutes until the kickoff. So not too far away. We've got plenty of build-up coming just around the corner, looking at previous fixtures, looking at the Rugby World Cup, moving forward for these two sides, what it could look like for them, and all that exciting stuff. Our lads also doing this game, says Yarnlu, and come on the AB, says Connor. I feel New Zealand always bounce back. Even if they're down, they are a quality side, but Los Pumas are on the hunt and are super strong at the moment, says Ruth. I think one benefit New Zealand will have is that they've been playing a lot more rugby as of late. Argentina, their players are scattered throughout the overseas competitions, whether that's Gallagher Premiership, Top 14, URC. There's going to be a few men that maybe haven't had a huge amount of game time over the past 2 months, whereas each and every week for those Kiwis, they were out there playing Super Rugby Pacific. And that was a little bit of what we saw in the AB's XV game versus Japan XV. We did see that near the end, Japan started to tire, and that was when the All Blacks XV capitalised. All-nighters gang, says Dwayne, and turn the volume up 4 bars. Don't want to get a hiding, but if the boys set in, the music on the headphones is going 100. Says the snooze, I'm very unsure who's going to win here. And the key of this game will be forward dominance to provide, says Lucardo there. And that's the question a lot of people have, is how will this All Blacks side match up with Argentina? The question as well, next week, Argentina going to be going head-to-head with Australia, New Zealand. They have got their upcoming game up against the Springboks. So, yeah, there are a lot of question marks that might be answered throughout this game, but also moving forward in the Rugby Championship. Whoever gets the points here, they've got a very good chance of finishing relatively high. But if they don't end up winning this game, it's their battle for 4th and 3rd. Unfortunately, there's not really any coming back from the loss, unless, of course, you get yourself a couple big victories just around the corner. Brother DJ in the previous game was wild, says Dwayne. Yeah, certainly created the atmosphere at Loftus, which was awesome to see because, a sold-out 50,000 plus in attendance game. I feel like there was a lot of passion out there, and this game's going to be no different for the ABs. They are going to be in a hostile environment. Los Pumas are going to have, I would say, 90% of the crowd behind them, and that's why the All Blacks, they want to make sure they start well. But like I mentioned, their next game up against South Africa, that is next week in New Zealand. And then we have a 2-week break, and then it is back for Argentina versus South Africa and New Zealand versus Australia. That is the start of the Bledisloe Cup and should be very intriguing heading towards the end of July. But go the boys in black, says Josh. And who was the man of match in the Bok game? My pick was Peter Steff. It did end up going to Kurtley Arinsa for his hat trick that he did get. So, yeah, he got man of the match. But a lot of players in that Springbok side did step up throughout that game. And I'd like to think there'll be a few players in this contest as well that do put their names in the hat for the World Cup selection. Looking at the way that the Rugby Championship went last year, we did see Argentina, unfortunately, did find themselves finishing in last, only just behind the Wallabies. A lot of people saying maybe that's the 3rd and 4th battle this year as well. People thinking it could be relatively similar. But if the Pumas can get themselves an early victory here in the Rugby Championship, it would be hugely beneficial for the overall points on the table. New Zealand, they'll be looking for a bonus point win because they've just witnessed South Africa win that game up against Australia by 31 points. So South Africa sitting at the top on 5 points. New Zealand, if they got the victory here, they'd get 4. And they add that extra one, get that bonus point, and keep in the hunt for the Rugby Championship title. Looking through at the way that the competition points works, 4 points for the win, 2 points for the draw, 1 point for a loss by 7 or fewer. And then also the 1 point for scoring 3 or more tries than your opposition. That is the difference between the Rugby Championship and a competition like the Six Nations, like the URC. Instead of doing the 4 tries gets you the bonus point, in this one, it is 3 or more than the other side. Looking at the chat again, I am 3Ks from loss, and the whole Pretoria has gone crazy, says Rudy. And hello, Amish Pro, says Michelle. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well, and Pumas might win this one, Amish, says Roof. I mean, it has been predicted by quite a few people that the Pumas will be able to get themselves over the line. They had a historic win in Australia. They had an even more historic win in New Zealand. And now to add a win in Argentina would be absolutely massive for them. Arinsa was man of the match, says says Dres. And also, go the Pumas go, says Dion. And also, Blues front row on the bench. Ian Foster Blues. Lover boy says Blues. Now, yeah, I think a few people were a little bit surprised with the selections off the bench for the All Blacks. The main reason behind it was they were thinking this game up against Argentina was a perfect chance to unleash some of those younger players, the debutants, the likes of a Cam Roigard, the Mighty Williams, Sama Penny Finau, Sean Stevenson to an extent as well. But no, they didn't go with that in the ABs. Instead, Cody Taylor, good man to have come off the bench. Actually, in my prediction, I thought that he would be coming off the bench with Samasoni Tokiaho as the starting hooker. Ofa Tuangafasi and Nepalala. Interesting choices, both of them not really coming off the best form in Super Rugby Pacific. I would have probably had Tamaiti Williams in there somewhere. Tupavai at number 19, Dalton Papali at number 20, then Finley Christie is 21, Richie Moonga coming off the bench late in this contest, and Braden Eno as the number 23. Augustine Crevi starting at number 16, or coming off the bench as the number 16, a brilliant veteran for Argentina. He's not the only veteran, though, that will be coming off the reserves later on in this game. Vivas and Bello, the other 2 front row replacements. And then also Rubiolo at number 19, Grondona at number 20, Bazan Velez, 21, Nicolas Sanchez at 22. And I feel like that man, if given the opportunity, and it is late in the game, and he manages to get himself a late chance at kicking maybe a winning goal, I think he'll be more than happy to take on that opportunity. And then Matthias Orlando, the last man in the off the bench for Argentina in this matchup. Looking through at Argentina's Rugby Championship 2022 results, they were defeated by Australia in the first game, 41 points to 26. Then from there, they fired back. Only 1 week's difference between these 2 games, but you would have thought it was a whole different side. 48 points to 17, the record win for Los Pumas over the Wallabies. They were feeling pretty good about that one. Then they went into their next game up against the All Blacks, putting it 25 points to 18. The week after that, though, the All Blacks managed to fire back in very emphatic fashion, 53 points to 3, 20 points to 36 up against the South Africans, and then 38-21, the final game of the Rugby Championship. But in that game over the All Blacks, that victory, that got them the 4 points. The game up against Australia, they got themselves 5 points for winning that game by 3 tries or more. Looking at the All Blacks, they had their first game up against South Africa. They did lose, 26 points to 10. Followed up the next week after with 35 points to 23, a 12-point victory over the Box. And I have to say, looking at the way that they played in their most recent fixture up against the Australians, it's going to be pretty hard to do again for the ABs, depending on how next week's game goes. 25 points to 18. The Pumas able to get that victory with New Zealand firing back with a 50-point margin. The week after, New Zealand narrowly beating the Australians 39 points to 37. And then the next week, they were able to win it. Or in fact, it was actually a midweek game, that Thursday one. Then the next weekend after that one was 40 points to 14. New Zealand taking out the Bledisloe Cup and also narrowly taking out the Rugby Championship competition. Hamish Pro, New Zealand will be winning here 40 points to 40-27 margin. I woke up at 6 a.m. to watch this one on Sky Sports. Says Rugby 02, and it is certainly going to be an awesome game. A few Kiwis will be getting out nice and early to be able to tune in for this game, and we are only sitting around 25 minutes away from the kickoff and this matchup. And weather sounds crazy there. Stay warm and comfy, Roof. And also, we have got a new member on the channel. It is Debbie Bota. Thank you very much. But in that membership button, you now have access to exclusive emojis on the channel. And why not start Nicolas Sanchez? I think they're looking at that young combination of Gonzalo Bertrano and also Santiago Carreras. Like I mentioned, I actually have both of those youngsters in my dream team for last year off the bench. And I would say that if they do end up combining well, Argentina would consider that as a miniature win because then they know that they don't just need Nicolas Sanchez. And perhaps they want Nicolas Sanchez for those final moments. Like I mentioned, if there's one kick that could take out the victory for Los Pumas, I think they'll be pretty confident in giving it to Nico Sanchez. I like to lead Papa Leo discipline, says this news, and go the All Blacks, says Vishal. And now I'm really worried about the ABs today. Bowden Barrett, says Moses. Yeah, they have decided to go with him as the number 15 in this contest. I know that a few people saw that as a bit of a surprise, seeing as he has played a majority, if not 90% of the season from number 10 for the Blues. And then, the other option was probably McKenzie at 15 or Geordie Barrett at 15 for this game, but they didn't seem like they were really committing to either of those two options. So instead, Bowden Barrett is the way they went as the red card machine playing today. If you're talking about Marcos Kremer, he is not. The reason being he's suspended. So he isn't able to play in this contest. And also, if you're talking Thomas Lavanini, he is playing. So it should be exciting to see what he can do during the lineouts. Commentators going about how hard it is to win at Loftus. Surprisingly, the Box have only won one game against the All Blacks out of 6, says Samunda. A pretty impressive record for the ABs in that regard. And go ABs from Ireland, says Fakes. And also Tim, hey there, Tim, says it's Crumless in there as well. I think Amoni will score on debut, says Rugby02. And he is a terrific talent for the All Blacks, and I believe that he will be one of those players that in the future, depending on what they decide on that right wing, whether it is the Talia option or whether it's Amoni Narawa, I think that will be what they're looking at for the World Cup, and Amoni Narawa taking over. Stairs Blues, Nate, it will be a different Boyle game for the Springboks. They will be on New Zealand soil. It will be a different game. They're here in South Africa. Go the All Blacks, go, says Valerie. Now, why is TJ Perenara not playing? He has been out of the squad for quite some time, but also due to injury. He wasn't going to be added back in just because it might have been a bit too soon to give him another crack. Looking quickly at Argentina, last year's November internationals for them. They had a historic victory over the English, 30 points to 29. A brilliant performance there and just narrowly getting themselves over the line. They did lose to Wales the week after, and then they were also defeated by Scotland, 52 points to 29. So that is the last game that the Argentines have played, and I'm pretty sure that will very much annoy them. They want to have a victory at the start of this Rugby Championship, and definitely a better performance than that one up against the Scottish. Even though they were defeated, though, they still managed to score 29 points. They are an attacking side, and when they get it right, they are certainly hard to stop. Looking at the All Blacks, their previous fixtures from last year, they had a narrow victory over the Japanese, 38 points to 31. It's actually how the game between the Japan XV and All Blacks XV looked like it was going to be going at the time of halftime. But then the All Blacks able to run away with it. Big win over Wales, 55 points to 23. Close game up against up against the Scottish, but not quite as close as that game up against the English. 25 points to 25. So the last game for the ABs is actually a draw, and they too will be looking to get themselves back on the winning track. The next games for the ABs, they have got South Africa next week, like I mentioned. Then they've got 2 games of the Rugby Championship. And on the 28th or 26th of August, that is going to be a big one. South Africa taking on New Zealand. That is a warm-up game for the Rugby World Cup before they head into their first pool stage matchup. That's going to be up against the French, also in their group, Namibia, Italy, and Uruguay. I'd have to say they've got a pretty good chance of making it out of that group stage. And the question more is who will they be facing in the quarterfinal? The options at the moment seem to be Ireland, South Africa, and also Scotland. 2 of those 3 will be making their way through, and one of those sides would be facing the ABs. For Argentina, they are in the group with England, so their first game relatively tough up against the English. They've then got the game up against the Samoans, Chile, and then Japan as the closing fixture. And that Japanese game at the end could be extremely important for the overall Rugby World Cup of Argentina. They'll definitely want to make sure they're winning that alongside as many of the other games as physically possible. But before then, they've got their warm-up game up against the Spanish, 2 games up against the Springboks, and next week's game up against Argentina. That is taking place in Australia as well. I should mention we have got there, feeling tired, mate, says Luke. Tiredness has kicked in a little bit. I'll be honest, we are sitting 6:50 a.m. here in New Zealand, so still, we got about 3 hours of being awake, somewhere around that length. And then we've also got a recording session with George straight after this, so that will be something else that we have got as well. Amoni Narua taking over. Sears Blues Nate and Zezra, by the way. I did notice the same profile picture for yourself, I should say. And Shane Williams doesn't get a run. Sears Big Boy Games. And TJ is injured. And hey, Kiwi won't be joining you tonight. I'm watching Wimbledon. And who is your favourites for the World Cup, says Surav. I still feel that France being the home side, it's going to be heavily beneficial for them. It's going to be a big game up against the All Blacks. That first matchup, though, that is going to be possibly deciding in terms of who gets first and who gets second in their group. Disappointing with Japanese performance last night, says Samunda. And TJ needs to be in, says Fakes there. And if Argentina win over New Zealand, it won't be a huge margin, but it will place them second on the table. And let's see how long it is before I get put on the naughty step, says Hangarat. Also, we have got their busy weekend at Mount Smart next weekend for the ABs and the WAS. Says Amanda, and of course the Warriors getting themselves their victory in the NRL. It was great to see them doing well. How were the chips? They were a little bit overcooked, to be honest. I didn't really get a huge amount of time to enjoy them, mainly because we were going from one live stream almost straight to the other. Why isn't the game at Eden Park against the Box, says Luke? I think it's just, I guess, given different regions of New Zealand the chance. Although the Chiefs, they did have a majority of the Super Rugby season at home, although that wasn't already determined before they organised that game, of course. And ABs will win, says Hangarat. And last year's Northern Tour was a bloody hard slog for the ABs after a massive Super and Test itinerary down south. They were shagged by the time they faced the English. I mean, it's one of those games as well that it was the big matchup that they've been looking forward to for so long, and they weren't able to perform in it. We're seeing a little bit of the feistiness between Shannon Frizzell and Pablo Matera the last time these two sides went head-to-head, and I don't think this game's going to be any different. I think those two opposite numbers. Dane Coles as well likes to get right in with a little bit of the fighting and whatnot, so he'll be one to look at throughout this game as well. Comfortably shagged, says Fluffy. It's because of the Soccer World Cup. There's a Rugby 02 there as well. And my God, the Aussies were destroyed. Guess Eddie. I will do the usual and say we are here to learn, mate. There's Paul Howard. I mean, to be fair for Eddie Jones, it's his first game as coach. So I don't think anyone was really expecting that it would be one game and it would fix all of the Wallabies' problems. Maybe they weren't expecting to lose by that much, but I mean, Borthwick, Gatland, all these guys who took over other clubs did end up with a loss on their records straight away. I feel like Eddie Jones hopefully learns how to grow from it and works out what combinations are going to work. Do you know when Super Rugby will start? Normally about late February is when it does end up firing up, and we don't say that anymore, hence why I turned off the TV. Good time to be alive, says the snooze. And how long till the game, says Hensel? The game is starting in around 15 minutes time between the ABs and Argentina. It's going to be an absolutely awesome one. I am hugely excited. My eyes are very bloodshot, though. I will mention that is because we have been up for a pretty long time. We did cover that game between South Africa and Australia. It did just take place. And like I mentioned, that game was a little bit more one-sided than a lot of people were anticipating. We're hoping this game will be nice and close. It looks like a beautiful afternoon in Argentina for this fixture. So the weather's certainly turned up for it. Caleb Clark, a lot of people were questioning what he was going to be able to do out on that left wing after a slightly lackluster Super Rugby Pacific competition. Pumas won't be allowed the same time the Box had. They will catch the ball with the AB's shoulders behind the advantage line. Pumas line speed will be fast initially, but will crumble eventually, says Marika. An MLR final on at the same time. Legion clear favourites, says Amanda. I like to see Eddie Jones post-match interview, says Alvarez. And also Dane Coles to get a punch into the nose, says Blues Nate. Although that would benefit the ABs because I feel like as long as he doesn't throw a punch back, then, that's a card for Argentina. I'm sure he won't look at it that way, Dan Coles. If anyone grabs him by the collar, he's going to be seeing red, unfortunately. He's like a bull that as soon as you get it slightly angry, it's just fired up for the rest of the game. Hamish, bro, this is the perfect preparation for the Rugby World Cup. To an All Black side, I know World Cup in September, but good to the AB's team to working on him team for the next 2 months, says Vishal. And Ian Foster, I know that there's still a lot of question marks in terms of what his tactics are heading into that Rugby World Cup. This game, I think, it wasn't quite the lineup that people wanted to see, but it was more of the lineup that people expected to see from Ian Foster. I would have loved to see a couple more debuts coming off the bench in this contest, but it didn't seem to be the option for Fozzie. And the game will start when the ABs decide to stop dancing on the pitch low, says Paul. And where is this game coming from? It is from Argentina. So it's going to be an exciting game because Argentina, they are yet to beat the All Blacks at home. And if there was ever a time to do it, it would be right now. And hold the line, ABs, keep bloody good discipline, and the rest will take care of itself in the second half. AB's fitness and stamina will tell, I think, says Kernowick. And Bulls are really good natured, says Fluffy. And Krevi been around before ancient aliens played rugby, says Blues Nate. Yeah, he is a veteran of the game. He's been playing for the London Irish. I think he's heading to the Sale Sharks next season. Punch-ons, old school. Says Lightfoot, I refuse to stop believing in them. And I'm a box supporter from Texas. The ABs are a hard stick in rugby, or yardstick in rugby. I know it was invented in England, but the ABs perfected it. Simple as that. More people are killed by cows than bulls, says Fluffy. Yeah, although you still don't want to be a bull rider, do you? Theoretically. Yes, would you rather ride a cow or a bull? I think I'd rather choose the cow because it hasn't got the horns in most cases. And Argentina at home going to fancy their chances. Exactly right. After beating New Zealand in Australia, after beating New Zealand in New Zealand, that was the big one as well. That was the one that really opened up a lot of people's eyes, and they realised that Argentina, even though the table says otherwise just a little bit, they were fourth last year in the Rugby Championship competition. They are a side that can beat any of the three sides above them on their given day, and they'll be looking to prove that here in Argentina, build momentum into their next game up against the Australians, who did just have the 31-point loss to the Springboks, so they will be fired up and ready for a good match next week. It's going to be taking place in Australia, so a long travelling schedule for both Argentina and New Zealand to get back to the Kiwi land, but then also we have got to remember South Africa have to travel all the way to New Zealand for that upcoming game as well. Well said, Hanger, at true words, mate, says Kernowick. And also we have got this and London Irish boy, Krevi. And Mendoza is 1,000 metres above sea level. So there is a bit of altitude factor and it's cold, says Albert. Well, the good news is here in New Zealand, we have not had very warm weather at all. We're sitting 6 degrees Celsius at the moment where I am, and a few of these boys from Christchurch wouldn't have been feeling too much warmer. It's actually 15 degrees Celsius at the game, which is absolutely fantastic to see me as a South African. I love that game at Loftus, says Tane McCready. Were you expecting it to be as one-sided as it ended up being, Tane, or did you think it was going to be just that little bit closer? I think a lot of people thought the closer game was the more likely, but it just wasn't quite the case in that round one game of the Rugby Championship. Bock left about 4 tries in the field. If they kept to structure, the score might have been 70 points to 10, says Hendrik. And also up the Legions, says Blues Nate. Like it was mentioned, MLR final taking place at the exact same time, or roughly the same time as this contest. It looks like these players aren't too far away from making their way out onto the field. Springboks line-out was an issue, but a new locking partnership will do that, says Alpharis. I don't think it was too bad overall. I feel like Klein came into the side and really showed that he could have been there all along. Marvin O'Ree, he was maybe a little bit more quiet than some were expecting. RG Snyman off the bench, I thought did well, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who they go with in their next game. They go head-to-head with the All Blacks. Looking through at this Argentine side once again before the two sides make their way out onto the park. It will be Thomas Gallo at number 1, Julio Montoya at 2, and Sordoni slotting in as the number 3. Matthias Alemano at 4 with Thomas Lavanini as number 5. Pablo Matera, Juan Matan Gonzalez, and Rodrigo Bruni. A very strong loose forward trio for the Pumas. They'll be looking to bring that physicality to the ABs early on in the game. Also, that kicking game that we will see from these next two men, Gonzalo Bertrano and also Santiago Carreras, feel could be a very dangerous combination. And if they can get, what bold prediction, I'm going to say they get at least 150-22 in this game. I think that they'll see those kicking opportunities in behind, and eventually they will go for them, and they could find themselves a little bit of success in the process. In the midfield, it is Lucio Cinti and Matias Maroni, Mateo Carreras out on the left wing, Batista Del Gui out on the right, and then also Emiliano Boffelli slotting in as, wait a minute. Oh, Mateo Carreras failing a fitness test. So they've actually had to make a change here for Argentina by the sounds of it, out on that right wing. So that is not ideal for them this close to the start of the game. I heard that the new All Black player is playing next year. His name is Jake. Heard that a new All Blacks player is playing next year. Jake. I'm not sure of a Jake. What's his last name? Body, do let me know. And hi from Germany, says Billy Collins. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well. Currently a evening game for you in Germany, I believe, if I'm not wrong. And what were New Zealand recent match results? I remember that draw against England. So before their draw up against the English, they did have the win over Scotland, the win over Wales, and also the win over Japan. So they haven't had a bad record in the last little while, but they certainly want to keep on adding wins to that column, building momentum towards that Rugby World Cup. Let's go, Hamish. We ready? Kiwi lads ready? Says Blues Danio from Ireland, says Mark. Welcome in, mate. I know the Wallabies wouldn't last at Loftus, but I didn't expect this hammering go the box, says Albert, and South Africa look good, says Mark C. And I think that is something that the All Blacks will have to look at next week and realise that it's going to be anything but an easy contest. I don't think anyone ever does underestimate the Springboks when they're out there on the field, but it's going to be very tricky in that next week's game. And I'm curious to know how much the lineup changes from what we do see here. Ethan de Groot, Dane Coles, and Tyrell Lomax as the front row. I don't think many people were expecting Dane Coles to be there for the Kiwis, but he has got that spot at number 2, looking to bring a little bit of physicality, a little bit of mongrel out to the front row. See if he can fire up the opposition. Scott Barrett at number 4 with Josh Lord as number 5, one of the younger players in the squad, Lord. And he did get a few opportunities, or was supposed to get more opportunities last year, until he did end up getting injured. Shannon Frizzell at number 6, Sam Kane at number 7, and Artie Savia going to be at number 8. The All Blacks, they will try and look to use that scrum to their advantage, have Artie Savia breaking off the back, trying to get that momentum going forward. Aaron Smith and Damian McKenzie, a new 19 combo for the All Blacks. Looking forward to seeing what they can do. Smith with the distribution game, always very strong. Also, a box kick could be prominent early on. The sun is out, which means that someone's going to be looking into the sun. My voice is disappearing. Can't have that before the game gets underway. Geordie Barrett at number 12 of Rico Ioane on his outside at number 13. Caleb Clark at number 11. A few people a little bit surprised with him being in there. Amoni Narawa, big debut for him. Beauden Barrett close out the starting side for the All Blacks. He is there at number 15. This game could be won by these men who are beside me. Crevi Vivas Bello for the Argentine front row. Rubiolo, Rondona, Bazan Velez, I should say. Nicolas Sanchez and Mateus Orlando, the last man off the bench for the Pumas. New Zealand, they have got Cody Taylor, who had a very good season throughout Super Rugby Pacific, one of the leading try scorers out of the forwards. The Crusaders, they'll certainly be happy to see him in that starting, or possibly starting jersey for the ABs. And they head back to New Zealand. Ofa Tonga Fasi and Nipolo Lala, the front row replacements for the ABs. In the propping department, Tupavai, Dalton Papali, and then also Finley Christie, Richie Moonga, and Brady Nor, the back replacements for New Zealand. But while we have got the national anthem on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, do let me know, what is your score prediction, and also who do you think will be the first try scorer of this matchup? Yeah, unfortunately, there's no way to watch the game here in Germany without a VPN, so I've just got your commentary, says Billy Collins. So we will try our absolute best to give you the play-by-play and let you know exactly where the players are on the field. Los Pumas number 11 is smaller than their number 9, says Rugby 02, and it's on, says Lightfoot. Hi from Namibia, says Walter there. Welcome in, and geez, lucky I didn't get up at 3 a.m. Eddie got pie on his face, says Josh. And also we have got there, how many Fijians in this team, says Octo Dad. For the Kiwis, you probably got three, somewhere around there. Which Haka will the ABs do, says Nod Mum. I assume they'll go Kapa or Panga for the start of the season, I would say. Going to be interesting. It's largely not a selection base of Super Rugby form. They have beaten us twice in the last 2 years. They're always tough at home. It's going to be very physical, says Sarav. And I think, interestingly enough, the only players I feel have been selected off form for Super Rugby when it comes to those backs is Amoni Narawa. That is why he's slightly getting the debut, but also because of the injuries that the All Blacks have got. But then alongside that, I'd say Damian McKenzie, probably the main back, who has been rewarded for his form in Super Rugby over the likes of a Richie Moonga. But yeah, overall, the All Blacks going with something similar to what a lot of people expected Ian Foster to have in the last matchup or the last season for the ABs. I hope that Caleb Clark doesn't bend the envelope too much. He needs to go with the flow instead of trying too hard to make things happen too soon, says Kernowick. And there in our first try, says Octo Dad, and 32 points to 28 for the ABs. And De Groot and Lomax flying the Australian-born flag, says Amanda. Yeah, but we've currently got the Argentine national anthem. You can see the passion on the players' faces. They are fired up and ready for a battle for the full 80 minutes. It's going to be important that they start well, but also don't allow the All Blacks to find any sort of momentum during the middle stage of the contest. Robbie O'Toole said, please press Alt F4. I would prefer not to, so that my computer doesn't completely shut down. Well, that late change for Argentina was an interesting choice for them, I do have to say, but they said it was a fitness test failure that did end up with him getting taken out. So I don't know whether that's fitness test failure, but then also maybe there was an injury lurking that meant that wasn't able to pass that fitness test to the full capability. And AB's got this. This will be close and pull away from 60 minutes and build a big lead, says Hensel in there as well. And they will be looking at that game that took place between South Africa and Australia, and they'll know that they need to score a lot of points throughout this game to try and catch up on the points differential side of things. Gold Coast and Melbourne, says the Blues, Nate, and AB's got this. This will be close and pull away from 60 minutes. I read that one, didn't I? My brain is in a slightly go slow mode, seeing as we are so early on in the morning here in New Zealand. It's 7:07 a.m., but I have not slept yet tonight. So that will be for after this matchup. And strange anthem that sounds like castrating cats singing Tosca, says Fluffy. Yeah, the Argentine national anthem. Probably one of the longer anthems around with the instrumental at the start, but now the crowd, you can hear them all singing it. And like I mentioned, they've probably got about 90% in attendance supporting them for this game. There are a few AB supporters scattered out throughout the game, but Argentina with some young players. I feel like Juan Martin Gonzalez is in for another good game here. And how good was the Ashes, says Octodad? We did see quite a few wickets falling late for the Australians, and now 250 needed was the original goal for the English. They've cut that down just a little bit more. And it's good to see that they got some play in, even though there was the rain around. And I'm trying to be fair, but I do believe the Oceanians, once known as the All Blacks, do not have the forwards to win the Rugby World Cup 2023, and neither do the Aussies, says Walter. And go the All Blacks, kick some butt, guys, says Shalabi. But now the national anthems are done, ladies and gentlemen, which now means we are at the Haka, and then the kickoff is just about upon us. But anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is hugely appreciated. You guys all being here for this contest. It is, like I mentioned, just around the corner. They're just talking about the late change again. Bautista Dalgi is actually, I thought it was the other wing. Carreras. Okay, so the Kiwis commentary told us the wrong way around. How long is this anthem, says Fluffy? It's a little while, but of course the crowd absolutely loving every moment. And now the All Blacks, they have got Sam Cane at the front, leading the side as the captain, but Aaron Smith, the player in charge of leading the Haka. Be nice to see the Pumas get their first win over New Zealand at home, says Ask Robinson, and enjoy the match, chaps. Cheers from South Africa, says Walter. And there as well. The crowd in complete silence for the All Blacks. Haka and Kapo or Kamate Hamish, says Kuno Wick. I believe, if I'm not wrong, they've gone with Kamate. And the ABs have a great team and need to play to their strengths, says Hangarat. And speaking of that great team that you have just mentioned, we will show you guys again who is in both of the starting lineups. We will start with the All Blacks, Ethan de Groot, Dane Coles, and Tyrell Lomax as the front row. Scott Barrett and Josh Lord going to be the locking duo. Shannon Brazell, Sam Kane, and Artie Savia in the loose forward trio for the ABs. Aaron Smith and Damien McKenzie, the 19 combo with Geordie Barrett and Rico Ioane on the outside alongside Caleb Clark, the debutant Amoni Narawa, and Bowden Barrett at number 15. Then, oh no, they did Kapo Pango for that first one. My apologies. Argentina, Gallo Montoya, and also Sordoni, Alemano, and Lavanini, the lock and duo with Pablo Matera, Juan Matan Gonzalez, and Rodrigo Bruni as the loose forward trio. Gonzalo Bertrano and Santiago Carreras, the 19, Lucio Cinti, and Matias Maroni in the midfield, and Mateo Carreras, Mateo Carreras. Batista Delgui has been taken out late. Emiliano Boffelli is there at number 15. And Leka Slap RG says, Tian Kapoapango says Blues Nate. It will be Angus Gardner in charge of this one with Nick Berry and Jordan Way as the assistants referees. And let's go, says Nova and blah, blah about the rest of the coaches. But these teams today, except the All Blacks Bend, they have always played it by its law, says the snoozing game on, says Blues Nate, and come on the ABs from an Irishman, says Karma Pitch. Angus Gardner just confirming what way they were going, left to right for the Argentinians. Are now almost ready to go. 9 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, till this game does get underway. Kiwis taking on the Pumas. And Angus Gardner says time on. We are ready to go in Argentina, ladies and gentlemen. Nice weather in Mendoza. It is 15 degrees Celsius for this contest, which is absolutely awesome to see. And Bowden Barrett tackled low to start us off. It is actually the replacement. And Bowden Barrett passes off to Scott. I think every Barrett has actually touched the ball at this stage of the match. I got kickoff, says Novmum. And also try. Yep, it is going to be the try to Argentina by the looks of it. The charge down of the kick of Damien McKenzie. And Pablo Matera may have just scored the first try for Argentina within 30 seconds in this contest. Right, Angus Gardner, he's going to have to go upstairs and have a listen to this one. I just want to check whether or not it was grounded. How long till Thomas Lavanini gets a red card? Says Marco. Normally it doesn't take him too long, but I think in this game he's going to be relatively well behaved. That is until Dane Coles tries to get under his skin, and then perhaps that will be when it all breaks down. And well, says Octodad and brilliant. Says username, so Damien McKenzie. He received the pass from Bowden Barrett. The kick was charged down by Pablo Matera. And then, I think Damien McKenzie might have got his hand to that first. I believe it's going to be called as a no try. It will be taken back by the All Blacks, I think. Goal line dropout is what the call is going to be, seeing as it was knocked down by Pablo Matera. Off long by the All Blacks now, nicely taken by the young number 11 Carreras, tackled by Artie Savi, about 38 metres out from the line at the moment for the Argentines. It's going to be Sordoni, and then the ball up again nicely. Now Gonzalo Bertrano, tackled low by Lomax. In Argentina, it's all about position in the early stages of this match, making sure that they hang on to it as long as physically possible. Now Bertrano going back across this time. It will be Pablo Matera, the man who almost got himself the try. And nothing is impossible for Los Pumas. Exactly right. We have seen that time and time again over the last couple of years. They've had victories over the ABs twice. They've beaten England. They are going to be in that same World Cup draw as England. So it's going to be intriguing. See who manages to get themselves the victory there. Santiago Carreras puts the ball up high, trying the cross kick. It's nicely taken by Caleb Clark. And now the ball is in the hands of the All Blacks. Wake up, D-Max, says Kernowick. And nothing is impossible for, I read that one, didn't I? 5 metres, there's a snooze. Bowden Barrett passes across to Rico Ioane. It looks like it's Artie Savia, in fact, who is going to be almost out on the wing. But now Amoni Narawa on debut, trying to step his way through this Argentine defence. But Jorge Montoya, he's actually one of the most successful throughout the Rugby Championship 2022 competition. Ball's available. At the back, Bowden Barrett has to chase after it. Thought about the kicking option, but instead it's taken down by Rodrigo Bruni inside of their own area now, New Zealand. They'll look to get this one back into the pocket. And it will be Geordie Barrett who does put the big boot downfield, 40 metres out from their own line now. Argentina looks like Santiago Carreras will put the kick up high. Nicely taken by Damien McKenzie back across to the left-hand side to Bowden Barrett. Inside ball to Geordie who's dropped it. And now we will see the first scrum of the day for Argentina, and the crowd certainly enjoying that one. Crowd is definitely the 16th man. Yeah, you can already hear that they are certainly well and truly behind their side in this contest. Does anyone know how to watch it for free in Ireland? I don't care if sketchy website says Aiden. If you've got do you have a VPN, Aiden? Because if you do, an option that you have got is being able to watch it with a Stan Sport free trial or a Sky Sport Now free trial, but you would have to set yourself to the Southern Hemisphere, to Australia for Stan Sport, or for New Zealand, you would have to do that for Sky Sport Now. The pack weight, Argentina 911 kgs, New Zealand 886. A little bit of a difference there between the two sides, but Argentina certainly going to try and bring that physicality early on. No VPN here, says Aiden. Unfortunately, there's not too many options around, sadly. The highlights will be on the Rugby Championship website straight after the game. That is kicked in behind by Argentina, but marked by Damien McKenzie. Now he will be able to just relieve some of that speed and pressure that Argentina are trying to bring. Argentina defense is really good. Yeah, they don't miss too many tackles. Michael Cheika doing a brilliant job with them. And that is somewhere where Argentina can certainly flourish at this next World Cup. Being able to make a majority of their tackles, getting in the breakdown, winning turnovers. Argentina now, they will have themselves to line out 38 metres out from New Zealand's line. All Blacks jersey, I know that it's a questionable one for some people with the big collar and the designs. Are you doing the Under-20 World Cup games tomorrow, says Rudy? We are hoping to do some of them, but I believe the games that we will be covering might be the night after rather than tomorrow night. Nice sell on a dummy from Rico Ioane. Now setting off to the right-hand side, gives it off to Amoni Narawa, who backed himself on the outside by Santiago Carreras. In fact, it was Mateo Carreras was able to stop him. Now Shannon Frizzell receives the pass from Dane Coles. Haven't seen him in action since the Super Rugby Pacific season and it was actually before the quarterfinal almost. Oh, Islanders now stop Barrett, pins the ears back, but he gives it off to Dane Coles. And that'll be the first drive for the All Blacks, and Dane Coles is the try scorer. Aussie wildcard commentator has lost a sense of humour. He is livid about the South African game. Never seen him so mad. Says Sean there. That is an early try for the All Blacks, and it could have easily been one at the other end had not been for Damien McKenzie just getting that hand to it before Pablo Matera. But Dane Coles scores in the 5th minute. The All Blacks take the lead over Los Pumas. Like that, there we go. I've got the starting lineups also going across the bottom of the screen. What free VPN do you recommend? Ooh, VPNs are tricky because, I mean, some of the better ones have a free trial, but it's whether or not you have access to like a credit card to put in the details to then get your money back after, if that makes sense. But like, I'd say anything like an ExpressVPN or NordVPN, I think they're a good one for Stan Sport. A nice one, Colsey, says Kuno Wick. And heck yeah, going to heat up some of the mean-as boil up from last night. The kick from McKenzie. It's gone extremely high, but I believe it has gone off to the side. So the score will now remain at 5-0 in favour of New Zealand. I think that that's 3 games in a row between the All Blacks XV versus Japan, South Africa versus Australia, and New Zealand versus Argentina, that the first kick of the day has been missed, ladies and gentlemen. And Dane Coles, the gladiator, says Polly Bear, and 4 past the day, no try. Says Blues, Nate, I told you, don't give up on the ABs. Says hang around. Wildcard was not happy, especially about that 60-metre penalty, which is fair enough because it seemed like a strange choice for Australia to go for a kick from 66 metres out when they hadn't actually got any of their kicks prior. But kicked high from Bowden Barrett. Ball's knocked back. Amoni Narawa gets the ball and now charging towards the corners, but was close to the touchline. Believe it's going to be play on just for now, but now the ball is stolen by Gonzalo Bertrano. and Argentina have conceded the penalty for the players leaving their feet in the breakdown. Looked like for a second Aaron Smith was considering going for the quick tap, but I believe the All Blacks will look to slow this one down, possibly look for the corner. Yeah, Moni Narua extremely close to the touchline, but he's got some brilliant balance to be able to stay on the field of play. Is there a timer on the conversion kick? Normally 60 seconds. Or is it 90? 60 or 90 you are allowed for a kick. And click the like button, says Marky. Anyone who hasn't already, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Coles would definitely be doing 10 to 15 if it wasn't for rugby, says Fluffy. Can't afford to miss those 2 points at the Rugby World Cup, says Sahara. There as well, taken at the front by Josh Lord for the All Blacks. Now looking to try and wheel this one to the left-hand side. The advantage is in favour of the All Blacks here again. Coles has already crossed the try line once. Looking to do it here again. With this rolling ball. I've been told to use it once. I'd say we're very close. I'm having to use a short ball from Jordy Barrett off to Rico Ioane. 2 metres out from the line, but it was a brilliant tackle made by Lucio Cinti in the midfield. Savia now. Tackle by Santiago Carreras. The All Blacks, seems like ever since that first kick happened when they almost conceded the try, they have just been on a bit of a rampage. Scott Barrett got extremely close to the line. That time, Artie Savia is over, though. And that is going to be the second try of the match for the All Blacks. 8.5 minutes in, and they are sitting 10 points to 0 down. And this kick should be a little bit more manageable for the ABs compared to the last. But that is 8 minutes into the contest now. The second try of the contest as well for the All Blacks. And it's Artie Savia who manages to get it and really like the time for the kicks. Says Rudy, and I'm way too tired. My eyes are closing, so I'm going to get some sleep soon. New Zealand first try. Good luck to the All Blacks. And you know what your shirt says, right? Great commentary as usual. I didn't even realise I have got a Puma shirt on and the Pumas are playing. So that's an accident, I swear. New Zealand on fire, says Ars Robinson. And we will win this game. I'm confident. My team from Richard James, South Africa. And hey, Michelle's things, my man, says Jeffrey Fokker. Doing very well, mate. 9 minutes into this contest. The All Blacks starting this match extremely well. Damian McKenzie, he's missed that one as well. Gone very high and quite wide to the right-hand side. But 10 minutes in now, the All Blacks 10-0 up over the Argentine. D-Max, where's your kicking boots, boy? Says Novmum. I'm still up, says Robert. Scott Barrett inches from getting over that try line, but it was Artie Savia around the side of the breakdown with the pick and go that made them cross the line. Now Santiago Carreras the ball up high, hanging around, set a little one-sided. Yeah, certainly a quicker start to the match than some would have anticipated for the All Blacks. Beauden Barrett now going off to his brother Scott. Mentioned about it in my preview. You've got to have 3 Barretts in a side, according to Ian Foster. Damian McKenzie kicks it down the middle of the park, close to the touchline, but nicely done by, I believe it is going to be Santiago Carreras. Gives it off to Emiliano Borfelli. They are now 40 metres out from the line, Argentina, and this is their real first attacking chance of the game. Looks like there's an injury here for Emiliano Borfelli, and that is dangerous for them because that would then mean that they will have to look at a different kicking option. But Carreras puts it high again. Waiting for this one to come down. Nicely taken by Beauden Barrett. Forced towards the touchline by Juan Matan Gonzalez. Looks like he has probably bulked up by about 5 or 10 kgs since the last season of Super Rugby. Or since the last season of the Rugby Championship, I should say. Now quick hands from the All Blacks again. Jordy Barrett on the outside to Beauden, who fends off one. Gives it to Jordy on the inside. It's another try for the All Blacks. 11 minutes in. Being slammed on the ground, but that is 3 tries already. What is going on here from the All Blacks? And how different is it going to be next week? That's the big thing. I feel like next week we are going to see the All Blacks taking on the Springboks in what will be a hard game to predict, definitely with both sides playing very well throughout their 2 contests. The All Blacks, they have got 3 tries in 11 minutes. Fair play. And also we have got the Ara Hanui from Blues Nate. This AB's B-side is doing well, says Trojan. I wouldn't really call them a B-side. I think it's similar to what a lot of people thought that they would select in New Zealand. Look like they mean business here. They're taming the Pumas, says Ruth. And at this rate, New Zealand will get 60 points, says Ars Robinson. Can't wait for the box, Says Octo Dad there. New Zealand look like they mean business. Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? And also we got their Los Pumas. Says Danilo. But I would have to say, this might sound like a bold statement, but I feel like I almost want to stick with it. This is probably the most or the strongest start to a match that the All Blacks have had in quite some time. And I know that they almost conceded that try at the start, but that aside, them sitting here, that kick has gone over from Damian McKenzie, but being 17-0 up after 12 and a half minutes in this game, they just, they're looking a little bit like they're on a different level just currently. And next thing, HJB gets a try, says Novmum. And more B than South Africa with no Jordan, no Talia, no Leicester, says Trajan. Also, we have got there, well, now, this is going to be a story. It's kicked the 10 metres. Argentina trying to go up for it. Haven't been able to take it cleanly, and now it is the advantage to the All Blacks again. It's just a little knock on. Shannon Frizzell almost got Angus Gardner. Off the kick, knock on from Argentina. Scrum feed now for the All Blacks again. And since the Japan or Fiji hidings, says Octo Dad and AB's World Cup favourites now. And All Blacks flying start to the inside 15 minutes, Hamish Bro. Yeah, about as best of a start as they could have ended up with here, I would say, for the All Blacks. I should mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've got plenty more rugby action coming in the near future. We have not just got the All Blacks games, we've got the Springboks, Pumas, and also the Wallabies for the Rugby Championship. Also covering every single game of the Rugby World Cup. So if you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. The Box versus ABs is going to be a huge game. I don't care who wins. Going to be epic, says Hangarat. And finally, a scrum, says the Snooze. I believe the second one of the game that we have got now. This is going to be an easy game next week for the All Blacks against South Africa. Next easy game. That is a lot of confidence. Did you see South Africa in their game up against the Wallabies? They were looking very dangerous indeed. Big scrum from the ABs. They have now got themselves the penalty advantage at scrum time. Aaron Smith off to Damian McKenzie. Ioane in the midfield, tackled well. I believe it was his opposite number. And the ball's loose. Smith goes off to McKenzie again. Thought about the wide cutout pass. Shannon Frizzell almost getting tackled without the ball. So they will go back for the original scrum penalty. South Africa versus All Blacks. Easy win for the All Blacks is Foxtrot. Very physical and nice to see the All Blacks putting in those great passes. And Hamish Bro can score 50 plus. Yeah, looking All Blacks after this fine start, and might have to watch the replays after this game plus the first game. Says Blues Nate. It will be interesting to compare them and see, how it kind of progresses in terms of like the Wallabies actually started better in their game, but it was the other 70 minutes that the Springboks were just the better side in. The All Blacks have started well in the first 15 minutes. I'm hoping to see Argentina get some momentum in the future soon, but Aaron Smith goes back across to Damian McKenzie. Now Rico Ioane looping around with Caleb Clark. Wide cutout pass. Doesn't quite find the hands of Amoni Narawa. And now it will be the line out for Argentina. Easy, Foz, easy. Don't get carried away, fella. And these Barrett boys are representing Taranaki hard, says Red 7. Also, Leicester fan here. Game isn't over yet. Yeah, that was a brutal one, wasn't it? In the final up against La Rochelle. Argentina flags from Danilo. And no kick passes, D-Mac. Just kick for position or chip through for your runners, says Kernowick. 2 lineouts, 1 so far from New Zealand, 1 lost by Argentina. And that is going to be another one, although it was a knock-on from Josh Lord. Just didn't quite get his hand on it the whole way. And y'all will see you all next week when we talk again, says Foxtrot. So we will see you later on, mate. 16 minutes in, and now another scrum for Argentina. And like I mentioned, they do have that little bit of a weight advantage, 911 kgs, compared to the 880 something of this All Blacks lineup. $120 minutes, they're saying, for Josh Lord throughout the Super Rugby Pacific season. So he hasn't played a huge amount of rugby. So a big call, I think it was, from Ian Foster to put him into the starting side to go up against Argentina. Box, we up for it, no worries, says Leonard Taylor. Let's go to the AB, says New Zealand Bombers. I have my brother Butch listening to the rugby commentary on the Kiwi Lad, says Josh Pike. So thank you very much. Shout out to you, Butch, for tuning in. Now Argentina passing off to the right-hand side, partially charged down kick. Caleb Clark looking like he was a little bit slow getting going. It's kicked out on the full by Argentina. Now, Odin Barrett, he wants that ball around that 22-metre line for the ABs. I don't believe they'll be taking it quickly, though. But the Box had a good game with their B team. Delano, you will see, says Foxtrot, and Box is a real AB's test, not Oz and the Pumas, says Red 7. Dane Coles up to the front to Josh Lord. Now Aaron Smith, close to forward pass there, right in front of the referee Angus Gardner, who didn't care. I'd assume it looked flat from his angle. Now Artie Savia hits it up again. Aaron Smith back to Damien McKenzie, who puts it high. Doesn't look like anyone's really chasing that one too hard, other than actually Amoni Narawa was the one who did commit. Rika Ioane trying to counter ruck for the ABs. Doesn't get it right. I'm from Argentina and I play for a rugby club. And Walechu. I've probably absolutely butchered that name. I do apologise, Danilo. Don't blame the ref if you guys lose next week. Naraviga is good. But says Foxtrot, and wasn't too long ago the ABs were struggling with the maize quiz at McDonald's, says Fluffy. Now, going to be Montoya finding the offload up to, I believe that's Matthias Alemano, and that will be the first penalty going the way of Argentina. 18 minutes, it has absolutely flown by with the speed that this game's being played at, but I believe it's against Sam Cane. First, or was it number 8? Wait. Rodrigo Bruni might have been getting in a little bit of trouble too, but the penalty did go the way of Argentina following the game from Zimbabwe, says Ivan. It is great to see you once again, mate. I hope you did enjoy the South Africa versus Australia game that recently took place. The All Blacks, I think they've seen that game and gone, we need to win this game with a bonus point. Have a really good shot of finishing number 1. I did have New Zealand and South Africa as my 1 and 2 sides in the Rugby Championship. Yeah, Sam Cane tapped on the wrong man there. Ended up taking out Thomas Lavanini. All Blacks just better, says Foxtrot. Now Argentina. 15 metres out from the All Blacks line. I'm buying a whole cow for $850. Is that a bargain? I assume that's a bargain. Maybe. Hopefully you enjoy your cow, Fluffy. Now William Montoya breaking off the side, and this is actually going to be continuation of the rolling maul. So now they have got themselves the penalty advantage against the All Blacks. It's popped out with Scott Barrett. He's been penalised, Scott Barrett there. And I'm back, says Xavier. Welcome back, mate. And also, cows are cheap at the moment, says Octodad. Why is that? I think it's because it's winter, so maybe people don't have the grazing for them, so they end up selling the cows because they've run out of feed. I'll be honest, I didn't think we'd be talking about the cow sale prices in this All Blacks versus Pumas one, but it's interesting. A lot of cow eating in New Zealand, well, a lot of beef, as we call it. And also the Pumas, we know that they love a barbecue. Nice throw for Argentina now. Pablo Matero only 5 metres out from the line. This is a brilliant opportunity. Oh, Gonzalo Bertrano, though. It's gone through one man's hands, and it's actually gone through the seconds also. So now 5 metre scrum for the All Blacks. Once again, they survived just out from their own line. Prediction for All Blacks versus South Africa All Blacks by 18, 30 points to 2. That doesn't quite equal 18. That's 28. Oh, sorry, 22. There's a lot of movement on the prices, Anthony. I see what you did there. Sorry, I didn't quite read it out. In that same way, you're doing the Ashes tomorrow. Gee, that is the plan. And it looks like it's heating up to be a very good, possibly, I think it's going to be the last day of the Ashes, to be honest. That was dropped, unfortunately, by Rodrigo Bruni and then also put down by Thomas Lavanini. Both men not quite able to hang on to the ball the way they would have liked. Scrums lost so far. We have seen no lost scrums. 2 for Argentina, 1 and 1-1 by New Zealand. Hoping to make it their second. They actually managed to get themselves the penalty advantage at their first scrum. They'll be looking to do that again, and by the looks of it, it is going sideways. I'd like to see Angus Gardner. No, he's given it as a penalty to the All Blacks. I thought that was too much sideways movement, and they might have considered standing them back up and giving it another crack. Give me who you're voting for next week, says Foxtrot. I think I'll have to see the sides, to be honest, because we know that South Africa are going to go with quite a different side than what we saw today. All Blacks, they might be a little bit of the same with a few players returning from injuries, such as maybe Faina Nuku, Mark Talia, Will Jordan, depending on how they are progressing. Argentinian Chatham from Spain. I'm hoping the Pumas can rise mentally and give a good game. Well, the All Blacks coming from their Super Rugby final. Great state of mind, says Quantic. And yeah, it goes back to that point that I made near the start. The All Blacks, most of these guys have been playing week in, week out for the past 2 or 3 months, if not longer. Whereas Argentina, you know, some of those guys, depending on how far their top 14 Gallagher Premiership URC sides got, some of these guys have been waiting for maybe 1 or 2 months before they get the opportunity to get back out there on the field. And training's one thing, but game time, being out there for the 80 minutes is a completely different thing. That was a brilliant fend on Artie Savia there from, I believe that would have been Matthias Maroni. Not too often that you do see that man put down on the ground, Artie Savia. Carreras goes across to Thomas Gallo. He was one of the standout players for Argentina last year in the Rugby Championship. Kind of came out of nowhere and really had an impact. Nice attack and run again from Carreras. Gonzalo Berrano, Schopo to Rodrigo Bruni, making a few meters, gives it off to Matthias Alemano. And now they are inside of the All Blacks 22, and the crowd starting to once again get behind the Pumas. To the left-hand side they go. Jorge Montoya goes on the outside to Pablo Matera. Back to the right, Berrano goes to Carreras. Sordoni has the carry. At the moment, Argentina, they're being patient here. This is 10 phases in a row. Beautiful offload to Emiliano Boffelli, and it's great to see that he got up from the earlier injury. Again, trying to get the turnover in the breakdown, not able to do so. Now wide sling and pass out wide to Matthias Maroni, but he doesn't get in there. Geordie Barrett uses his physicality alongside Narawa, who slowed him down, and the All Blacks bump him into touch. Don't really like this camera angle, says the snooze. It's a lot higher than normal, isn't it? If I'm not wrong, or like a little bit more aerial, which, I mean, it's I don't mind it too much. For some reason, I think it might just be the turf, but the players do look like they are moving slightly slower. But I think it's because the pitch might be quite a kind of like a now goes off to Geordie Barrett. They did decide to take that one quickly for the ABs. Barrett thought about the offload, and that is brilliant work. Or is it? Oh, Julio Montoya. No, it wasn't him. One of the other Argentine forwards have been penalised for losing his footing and broadcasting a New Zealand game in Argentina, watching in the USA technology. Go the All Blacks, says Kerman. Yeah, it's pretty fancy nowadays. I know that they were talking about AI on the news. Believe it or not, I actually saw some of the news, which I think is a story in its own. Could almost make the news. But yeah, I was watching the news, and then they were like to a guy, so is AI and robots, are they going to take over? And then the guy didn't say no. He was just like, oh, they're still very early in development, which is promising, isn't it? That kick has gone into touch way down the field for the ABs. About 25 metres out. Geordie Barrett, what's he clapping about? Why is he angry? Maybe he took a little bit of a knock in the process. He's like a freaking ghost. Says Fluffy. Is Kane on the field? Yeah, he is. We've seen him a couple times so far throughout this match, but now Dane Coles out to throw the ball in. We've hardly seen Shannon Frizzell either, to be fair. So the loose forwards, I think Artie Savia are definitely the most prominent. Now it is taken by Frizzell, just as I say that. McKenzie goes across to Geordie Barrett, hits it up at the line. Tackled well by Lucio Cinti, eventually going to drag him down. Now Smith, great flat ball, and that is the type of pass the ABs will be looking at as a World Cup game winner. Now McKenzie thought about the cross kick, decides to switch from right to left, breaking around the outside. Caleb Clark just sits down the number 14 for Argentina. Now Smith, short pop pass up to Scott Barrett-Angus. Gardner doing extremely well to avoid getting cleaned up. Now another advantage in favour of the All Blacks. Little chip behind from Damien McKenzie, picked up by Josh Lord-Fonzie, offered to his teammate Amoni Narawa, and it's just knocked on by Geordie Barrett after the pass from Kane. They will go back as Kane on the field. He is, yep. And at the halftime, All Blacks under control. Game, no worries. Here after superstar. Zoom levels are all wrong, says Cited. It does kind of remind me a bit more of like the, you know, when they show the semi-professional or the under-20s games, how it's got like one of those more stagnant middle angles. I think it's just the way that the grandstanders decide that they aren't able to have it in the exact same spot as the New Zealand games. I wanted to think of South Africa winning against Australia. Brilliant performance from the Springboks, and New Zealand going to have to be on the A game for the next one, that is for sure. But at the moment, I mean, they're looking pretty decent. At the Kiwi lads, says Shahazad. Hopefully I've said that correctly. I see a try coming up, says no, Mum, only 5 metres out from the line now for New Zealand. Taken by Scott Barrett in one hand. And now that rolling maul, again, the All Blacks are going to look to use it, although Dane Coles, I think, almost got stuck in there, so they did have to get it out as soon as possible. Geordie Barrett crashed up at the line. Smith across to Shannon Frizzell. I feel like there's a Sam Cane try coming here. I know that it's a weird one to predict, but he's actually ended up with the ball now. He's been tackled 5 metres out from the line, so never mind. Probably won't get it again for a little while. Ethan de Groot, though, tries to bump his way through the Argentine defence. Smith going to the left-hand side to Damian McKenzie with the cross kick. Goes out to Geordie Barrett, who steps, offloads on the inside to Caleb Clark, who tried to find one more pass. It might be a deliberate knockdown here from Los Pumas. Oh, it's a knock-on advantage. I think Aaron Smith just asking that question, was it deliberate? And if so, this could end up being maybe even a penalty try. Where's Rubbic? He said Argentina would win, says Trajan. I mean, to be fair, they probably, like, in terms of, like, odds, I think they had the highest chance of beating the All Blacks on the odds side of things than they've ever had. Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be a deliberate knockdown. I don't think it was hugely on purpose. We'll see it here. Unfortunately, he was ducking his head and he was about to make the tackle as well, and the arm was extended. I believe that that's going to be a yellow card penalty try. No, it's good. Okay, it's just stuck to a scrum. And they're part of the tackle, says Angus Gardner. I'm glad that they decided to rule it that way. And by how much do the All Blacks need to win to go top of the log? They would need to win this game by 32 and receive a bonus point for it. If South Africa and Argentina play, I think 40-22, says Foxtrot. And All Blacks going to have a tough game next week against South Africa than Argentina, says Foxtrot there. And I see a try coming up in Bundaberg, says Bruce. Bundaberg. I quite enjoy the Bundaberg mango drink. Fun fact. That no one probably cared about. Accidental says cited, a no penalty try now, says Blues. Now, I'm glad that they have ruled it the way that they did. Ian Foster doing a paint by numbers on his tablet. No, he's not. He's doing some planning, I think, or is he's just drawing something. He was doing some sort of plan. The Argentinians, they're more on the paper department rather than the digital tablet. Now 10 metres out. One of these two sides, they will have to go back to the drawing board at the end of it. I thought that was a good pun to use, but I probably shouldn't have said that it was a pun because then it loses its impact. Aaron Smith now. About to feed the ball into the scrum for the All Blacks. And I have to say this first 28 minutes has absolutely flown by. Now Smith off to McKenzie. Inside ball to Geordie Barrett, who once again has been used as their crash ball option. Got the knee down, so they do now have to release him. They didn't. Oh, it's actually called as a rolling ball. That's why. Shannon Frizzell trying to do the same to him, but he has been dragged down by his opposite number there, Pablo Matera. Now McKenzie, the rush defense on him. Rico Ioane's through, and it's another try for the All Blacks. Now, for Geordie Barrett's try, I had to put that it was Geordie Barrett. For the Ioane try, I will put Rico, even though people know that Akira Ioane is not in the side. I'm still going to make sure that I put Rico just so that it is more confirmed. There we go. That is another try for the All Blacks. Wonder what crayon colour Fozzie likes to eat, says Fluffy. I remember back at primary school, there was one girl, you couldn't leave her by your crayons because she would chomp them down like they were going out of fashion. Like, they put crayons on the desk. She thought that was a snack. She thought that was a snack bowl, like you do for, like, salted peanuts. Instead, it was the crayons. I was meaning a penalty and a roll. The roller scrum, says the snooze. I like the passionate Bundaberg, or passion fruit Bundaberg one too. Morning, how about the Ashes Test? It's heating up for a final day tomorrow. It doesn't seem like it's going to be going the extra day on top of that, to be honest. There is the try, says no mum. Also looks like he was about to crush some candy. Says, cited a nice Rico, says Kernowick. It was a decent effort there from, was that Julian Montoya? No, it was actually the number 11 in the Mateo Carreras to get him around the bootlaces. It was just a little bit too little too late for him to be able to stop him score lunches in New Zealand, says Fluffy. What, the crayons on the table? Sounds decent. I mean, they're similar to M&M's. They're just not chocolate, but they will make your mouth a whole heap of different colours. Can you show the TV? Sadly, due to licensing, yeah, we'd get in trouble if we show any match footage or audio? Do you follow the Warriors too, man? I do a bit. I saw that they had a very good win most recently, which is fantastic to see with the finals not too far away. They've got to try and keep in that top 8. That is the main goal for the Warriors and All Blacks, says Axton. And we didn't any of this form Blues versus Zeta semi-final, and he scored a try, says Blues Nate. But it's going to be kicked high from Bowden Barrett. Caleb Clark trying to run onto that ball. Wasn't able to take it. It is a knock-on advantage against him now. Gonzalo Berrano goes across. Oh, 2 knock-ons. First by the All Blacks, second by the Pumas. And it is going to be another scrum feed for Argentina, who is the fullback on the All Blacks. So for this game, they have actually gone with Bowden Barrett as the fullback option. He's one that some people, I'll be honest, some people didn't really want to see him as the fullback. They thought that with him playing at number 10 throughout the majority of Super Rugby Pacific, that they would go with him as a 10 option, but instead the ABs decided to do the reverse and put him as the fullback, which in this game so far, he hasn't been too bad, I don't feel, but saying that the All Blacks, they have been looking very strong throughout the early stages. Something sus going on at the Blues camp, real sus, says Nate. And you think this game going to be over 50 points? I think so. I hope that if we're saying 50 points, it's going to be combining and Argentina are going to get themselves a try or two throughout the game, just because I feel like they need to build their confidence going into the next game up against Australia as well. Like these two sides, they only get to meet once throughout this Rugby Championship. Argentina, they have got to face the Springboks twice, one of which in the Rugby Championship, the other as a warm-up game for the Rugby World Cup. So they'll want to get some sort of momentum building before they have to face the Boks twice, that is for sure. I got a feeling it could end in a walkover, says Burning 1AC. There's a decent chance at the moment that that is the case. 8 minutes remaining, though. I'd love to see Argentina get close to scoring by the end of this half. Always been fed in. Aaron Smith waiting patiently for the chance of turning it over, but it's a nice flat pass from Argentina. Ball is knocked forward, unfortunately. And now the All Blacks are going to have themselves a scrum. That was a big shot coming in from Sam Cane, though. It's obviously Foz is not listening to his players, keeping playing people out of their preferred roles, says Red 7. Gee, Sam Cane has gone in like a freight train there and knocked the ball free out of the hands of the number 14. That is probably one of the hardest tackles we will see throughout this game. And it was by the skipper, Sam Cane. 7 minutes now remaining, though. In the first half, I will mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've got plenty more action coming in the near future. We're covering every game of the Rugby Championship, every game of the Rugby World Cup as well, and a few other games of rugby. In fact, every warm-up game of the international rugby scene being shown also. But that is a big scrum again from the All Blacks. That is the third time now they have walked away with the penalty at scrum time. And Sam hits hard for a ghost, says Kunowick. 7 penalties conceded against Argentina so far throughout the first 33 minutes of this matchup. But Geordie Barrett now with his long boot, looking to get those meters. They do manage to get themselves into Pumas territory. There is more than a likeliness that they do get themselves another try before the end of this half, and that would sit them possibly those 31 points, which is the difference that they need to win by if they want to be on the same points differential as South Africa. My voice is trying to disappear. This is not good. Dane Coles, a rolling ball now going forward for the All Blacks. Aaron Smith kind of controlling the traffic at the back. Oh, he's knocked that on, though. Unfortunately, the scrum the maul collapsed at the wrong time, which then led the ball going down. Kick downfield from Argentina, close to a 50-22, but it does go out, and the All Blacks will have themselves another line out. The black machine rolls on. Come on, boys, says Nicholas. And also not a good day for the Aussie coaches. And boom, boom, fluffy, says Kunovic. And Argentina are rattled, according to the commentator, says sighted canvas. I think, unfortunately for Argentina, they got off to a poor start, and from then they've now got to try and play catch up, which is going to be very tricky to do. But that first 15 minutes heavily cost them. We saw the All Blacks score 3 tries throughout that time. It's the pump water wreck in your voice, bro. Should have Kiwi blue. I think this was a Kiwi blue. This one's quite empty though, but I think this is a Kiwi blue bottle, is it? With the light blue lid. It's not actually see-through, ladies and gentlemen. That's just the bottle is, but cap isn't. Yeah, switch to pump. Although it's tap water as well, so you know they say that people from my town have 6 toes on 1 foot. Argentina can't get into this game, says Ars Robinson, and without the All Blacks conceding penalties, that is probably the aspect of the Rugby Championship last year the All Blacks definitely wanted to improve on, was the fact that they were getting penalised heavy throughout each and every one of their games. Whereas so far here, they haven't conceded many penalties, and that has actually allowed them to have quite a majority of the possession. But saying that, if Argentina were putting on maybe a little bit more pressure in the breakdowns and forcing the All Blacks into errors, perhaps that could have been when we see more disciplinary issues for New Zealand. I watched the South Africa versus Aussie game, and I know every player, the wings was especially good. Kurtley Arinsa, but Kanamuri must fall away and put in Cheslin Colby. But where was Cheslin Colby? He is actually in New Zealand at the moment. So the reason that they didn't go with him alongside a few of the other South African guys is because they are saving them for this game up against the All Blacks. They did go with a split squad, so you will get to see the likes of a Malcolm Marx, Eben Etzebeth, Ludi Haka, and all of those boys back in action very soon, and that will be for the game in New Zealand. I'm de Groot, move this tree, says Blues Nate. It's another penalty this time against Argentina. I think it was Matthias Alemano penalised for that one. I hereby declare Sam's nickname to be the Phantom, says Fluffy. I mean, it's a kind of cool nickname, to be fair, other than the fact that I think the reason you gave him it is because you feel he's invisible half the time, but I feel like he'd take the Phantom. What is Sam Cane's nickname? I think he's got one. I know that people will say their own nicknames for Sam Cane, but he does actually have one that I've heard in the past. It's like how Scott Barrett's got Scooter. That's a great steal in the breakdown from Rodrigo Bruni, sorry. Now Argentina, they are back in possession. The crowd cheering. That's kicked out on the full. Unfortunately, that is not what Argentina needed. They had one chance of having the ball, and they just booted it away, and now they are back under pressure with another All Blacks line out just around the corner. Like they've said, Rodrigo Bruni doing the hard work, getting the turnover, and then, yeah, unfortunately, Matthias Moroni just boots it out on the full, and not even just out on the full, pretty much about 5 or 10 metres out on the full. Now short side, Shannon Frizzell crashing it up after receiving the pass from Sam Cane, Dane Coles, back across to Artie Savia. Now Smith goes to Ethan de Groot. Too many mistakes from Argentina. Exactly right. And bloody just your beauty. And that's maybe a similar score to the last time they played, 53 points to 3 in favour of New Zealand. Now Smith goes to Shannon Frizzell. Ian Jr. says Marco. And his nickname was Headknock. Says was Red 7. Another penalty against Argentina. Smith, they go with the switch off to Caleb Clark on this left-hand side of the field. Bowden Barrett actually leapfrogging the breakdown, which almost cost them possession, but Clark is certainly waiting for that opportunity out on that left wing. He got close to scoring not too long ago. Aaron Smith off to Artie Savia now. Tackled by Thomas Lavanini and slightly driven backwards in the process also. Now Smith, they've given away another penalty. Oh, in fact, no, it was a clean turnover for Rodrigo Bruni, but this sounds like it's going to be close to a yellow card now for Argentina. Argentina, too many weights, not enough speed work, says William. I found a full game replay of the All Blacks XP versus Japan, but it isn't available to watch, says Bonnie, so you may need to use a VPN perhaps to be able to get the chance. Right, Angus Gardner said there's a couple on the bounce at the moment for the penalty count against Argentina. Okay. Jorge Montoya, he's just said that a few of the All Blacks players, they are doing the exact same. And Angus Gardner was like, yeah, but you're the one who I'm looking at, I think was pretty much the words of it. So, you know, maybe the All Blacks, in Julio Montoya's opinion, has gotten away with maybe 1 or 2. But that's the thing, he knows his breakdown so well, so maybe he's onto something there. Aaron Smith, the backline in general, says Nicholas, and there should be warm-up games before the tournament starts. Seems like Argentina need those games to find the rhythm and gel before the big matches, says Cited. I did say at the start, I felt like they were at a disadvantage because some of these guys haven't played in a month or two due to either their sides getting knocked out earlier in overseas competitions or just not really having a massive amount of time to play together as a side. Now, Dane Cole's getting the rolling ball going. That is another penalty advantage, and I believe this is going to be now a yellow card for Argentina. Dane Cole's offloads to Smith, snipes around the side, and it's another try. It's the double blow of the whistle. Too many infringements. It's a yellow card as well for Argentina. Oh, this is going to be a tough game for them, unfortunately, for Los Pumas. And you think Argentina have been caught cold? Says Geza. I think they've just been outplayed, unfortunately, for them. And I think it's because of what I said in my preview. I think I jinxed both Argentina and Australia because I said no matter what happens in the Rugby Championship this round, I want to see two close games. I don't think we're seeing two close games. Sam Kane put on headgear. Richard McCaw heard hit or hard hit, says Blues Nate. A tough day at the office for Argentina, says Lord Fourth. A beautiful day in Argentina. Looks good. Watching the boys play in the sun, not a cold, dark, damp New Zealand weather we're having at the moment. And God bless the washerwoman. The Yanks put a fighter plane called the F4 Phantom. You didn't see it coming. The F you knew about it. Oh, but if you knew about it when it turned up. Sorry, I read that terribly, didn't I? Also, a tough day at the office, and no way Argentina. No way back for Argentina now. Damien McKenzie just allowing the clock to burn down. 2 seconds remaining in the half. Pick has gone over. And that is going to be halftime now, ladies and gentlemen. 31 points to nil in favour of New Zealand. This is going downhill fast, says Rudy. Certainly is. And I should mention now, with the way that New Zealand are sitting, 31 is the difference that South Africa were able to beat the Australians. New Zealand currently, they have secured that bonus point as long as Argentina don't score themselves a few more tries. So far, New Zealand having the 5 tries of Dane Coles, Artie Savia, Geordie Barrett, and then also Rico Ioane and Aaron Smith getting themselves the tries a little bit closer to the end of the first half. Ridiculous, like a full-time score, says Ars Robinson. I mean, to be honest, a full-time score that sits like this, even in that case, it's a one-sided affair. And I have a bad feeling that the second half is not going to get too much better for Argentina. They are still playing with one man down for the next maybe 9 or so minutes in this fixture. Looking through at a few of the statistics. Now, these are only rough statistics I will mention, but it's 319 metres carried for the All Blacks compared to 128 of Argentina. 17 defenders beaten compared to the 4 of Argentina. Clean breaks 5-1 in favour of the All Blacks. Tackles 77 made by Argentina, actually missing 17. Now, that is not something we see too often from Los Pumas. Normally, they are very clinical when it comes to their tackling, but they haven't quite been able to do that in this match so far. And also the discipline. They have conceded 8 penalties compared to the 2 of New Zealand, and they also now have that yellow card that could end up playing factor in the second half. On the bright side, we have South Africa versus New Zealand to look forward to. From what I've seen so far, that's going to be good, says Geza. We also do the game of the Black Fern, says Tristan. Sadly, due to not having any sleep as of yet since yesterday, we will probably end up, unfortunately, having to miss that game. I will mention, though, we will be back tomorrow evening, and we're actually hoping to do a little bit of the Under-20s World Cup, World Championship, so hopefully we will be able to do that in the future. But yeah, with the sleep schedule, it's looking a bit rough at the moment, I would say. And I definitely said All Blacks will win, right? Says Rabic. Of course. You wouldn't have said that Argentina were going to win, would you? We'll have to talk about it in the post-match review, won't we? We weren't expecting this, though, were we? No one was expecting 31-0 at halftime. I think I can almost guarantee that. It looks like final score will hit 50 points, at least at the moment, the way that these guys are going. And also the thumbs up from Blues Nate. The Warriors, W, All Blacks XV, W, and All Blacks could be a W, says Lord the Fourth. And then to add one more on to that, Dan Hooker in the UFC, perhaps he can also get himself the win. And that would be 4 from 4. The Black Ferns still to come as well. I'd like to think they'll get the win over Canada, definitely, because they were able to defeat the Australians. I've got a statistic, 3 tries before I'd finish making my coffee. The Mendoza Massacre, as Vintage AB says, yes, I am a lizard. 3 tries before the end of the coffee. That is impressive stuff, isn't it? Let those betting apps from your phone, Rugby Hitch, says Fluffy. If you said a Rugby Hitch, ABs will win it. And New Zealand can put their feet up second half, says Arts Robinson. Although I don't see them doing that. I think they will look at this game as the perfect opportunity to put absolutely everything into the second half and increase that points differential, because they've built up a brilliant foundation here. They're matching what the Springboks points differential was up against Australia at full time. Any points from now is a bonus for the All Blacks and could possibly be the difference between finishing second and finishing first in this Rugby Championship competition. So I believe they will look to keep on being clinical. I don't think that's the thing. That half went by that quickly. I'm not sure whether or not the All Blacks will be heavily fatigued, because they've had a majority of the ball, which has meant they've been able to rest in that back line while waiting for the next opportunity. New Zealand don't know the meaning of the word mercy, says Geza. Only our cricket team. We always seem to have mercy when it comes to a super over, don't we? Go the All Blacks, says Joseph. And there, luckily, I don't bet. Thanks, Blues Nate, for backing me, says Rugby Itch. And they're in game over, no need to play the second half, says Tioa. Hopefully I've said that correctly. And also, Wellington Saints beat Manawatu Jets last night, says Jeffrey Fockerd. But I'll be honest, I can't believe how quick that first half went. I don't know whether or not it's because it's so late, or actually, it might be because it's just getting to morning here in New Zealand. So as you see the sun, or it's not sunny, it's raining at the moment. Heavy rain, in fact, is the way that the forecast describes it. But because you slowly see it getting lighter outside, it gives you that, you get that, I don't know what the term is, but you get that nice little, woo, it's morning. But normally that's when I've been up for a lot of hours. Hello all. There's Mumbo Jumbo Kiwi. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are keeping well. But do let me know, ladies and gentlemen, who would you say was your first half best player? I would say that Beauden Barrett. I mean, we didn't see too much of him, but in the time that we did see him, he was making an impact. Geordie Barrett, I would actually say, has stepped up in this contest, which is brilliant to see, seeing as a lot of people were questioning if he is that 12 option. When you think the player's not even there, Jordan, Lester, Talia, Stevenson, Whitelock, Retallick, Samasoni, Blackadder, Moonga, to name some New Zealand. We'll have the same team, we'll have some team at the World Cup, says Trajan. And the game next Saturday between the All Blacks and the Springboks is the final. It is. I think that's the best way of describing it. And then that game between Argentina and Australia is that playoff game. What a terrible game. I say that as a neutral, says Yvonne. Hopefully I've said that correctly. Yeah, it's not what anyone really wanted to see, I would say, for this game. Like, I was hoping for a close game as well, but yeah, something hasn't quite worked for Argentina throughout that first stage. And I actually would put it down, some of it anyway, to rust, not having enough games in the recent times. I know that they've had Super Rugby South America like a month or two ago, and then also players in the top 14, Gallagher Premiership. They just haven't really had enough of the time. Is anyone watching the Sky footage? The halftime coverage cut out, says Jane. At the moment, for me on Sky Sport 1, it's all right. But I guess maybe if it's on Sky rather than I've got Sky Sport now, so maybe that changes. Never underestimate Stu Foster. Go the All Blacks, says Joseph. Yvonne. Oh, I always say it wrong, and then when I see this, I see how to say it. I always feel like a goose. Oh, I'm sorry, Yvonne. That's how you say it, isn't it? Sorry. I always have someone occasionally come in with the name Yvonne, and every time I forget the pronunciation. There's another Irish name that I always get wrong as well. Also, I'm hoping the RGs are warmed up now and will kick into gear in the second half. Do you put the game on the stream? Unfortunately, we are unable to show match footage or audio, but I can recommend checking out the All Blacks YouTube channel straight after this game has taken place, as they will have the highlights going up. And yeah, there'll be some All Blacks tries to look through for that first half, that is for sure. Enrico playing rugby, but in the AB's kit. Live Blues kit, Rick, says Blues Nate. I'm hoping the Argentinians, the RGs are warmed up now. We'll kick into gear in the second half. I mean, Scotland and England in 2019, I felt just as over at halftime, says Jared Robertson. True. I watched them from a bar in New York, and the camera work graphics went nuts, and they had to cut to ads. Let's go the ABs, says Jane. And were they on Sky, Jane, or were they on a different one? Was it maybe Flow Rugby that they were watching it? Oh, so is Sopane the other Irish name? You can't say. I don't think so. I haven't seen is that like I don't know how to say that one to be honest. A dear dude from Ireland. This is gone. Live on. Says Joseph in the game with a good start. Show us the road to the World Cup next week. We're the most important one, fourth championship forward, says Nicholas. Siobhan. Is that Siobhan? Ah, okay. And I got stop torturing the man, says Yvonne there as well. Yeah, some of my pronunciations are not great, I will be honest. Can you say my name? Says Axton. I think it's Axton, isn't it? Or is that also different? I'd like to think it's Axton. Brandon, your message was let's go All Blacks, but it's still something to work as well. Yeah, they'll look at this first half as, I mean, they played extremely well. They didn't really make too many mistakes. Maybe that set play, just a little bit more. We've seen a couple little mistakes there from them, but only little things. Well, get you there, Seamus, says Cole. And the Pumas ears will be on fire just about now. They're alone warmed up, says Kernowick. And yes, you said it perfectly, says Axton. So far for Josh Lord, lineouts one. He's won 4 of them, made 4 tackles as well. Sean Bean says NATO. It feels like an NPC game with a small stadium and the trees in the background. Good place for a test. Complete opposite to the South African game. Says yes, I am Lizard. Yeah, but it's going to be interesting next week. FMG Stadium, they've had a lot of rugby recently with the success of the Chiefs side. And now they're going to have an international test match between New Zealand and South Africa, 2 sides that at the moment seem like they're going to be winning their games comfortably. It's French, but honestly, it's dreadful. Argentina are terrible, listening to the commentator calling it scintillating. Ridiculous, says Yvonne. Yeah, I think it's a little bit similar to what we saw in that last game between South Africa and Australia, which is, yes, the All Blacks are playing very well, but you'd also have to say Argentina are definitely far from their best in this game, and that sounds very harsh to say, and I don't like saying it because I love watching Argentina play, but yeah, it's just they haven't been able to at least find any momentum. That game at Mount Smart, bro, is it? Is it not an FMG stat? Oh, am I thinking of the other game? Sorry, the Bledisloe Cup / Rugby Championship. That one's at FMG, isn't it? My bad. They end up for that one. Mount Smart Stadium. Because I think they've also got the Waratahs, or sorry, not the Waratahs, the Warriors game there too, don't they? Currently the second half, not too far away from starting. Are you going to sleep after this? Not quite. So I was informed in the middle of the night that George, one of the other Kiwi lads, he's keen to film a video. So straight after this live stream, he's going to be coming around and we're going to be filming for probably like an hour or maybe 2. So it might be about maybe 11 or 12 by the time I do get to go to sleep for today. And yeah, bro, day after, says Brendan Johnson. And the gap between these 2 sides are enormous right now. On Wednesday is the Ramfurly preseason. Horowhenua Kapiti playing Wellington Lions in 11. And then also, if the Wellington Lions manage to hang on to the trophy or the shield, South Canterbury will get themselves a crack at it, which I am excited about, seeing as they are my local side. It's raining quite heavily out there at the moment. I'm just having a look around the green screen, and Bull says Fluffy, and England will play Wales, says a Fed. And that one time Argies went ball in hand early on, and they put a lot of phases and kept pushing the All Blacks back. It worked, and they nearly got on. Says I have listened. Yeah, I think the thing that's been hurting them at the moment is just that lack of possession, not being able to hang on to that ball for more than a few phases. Like you mentioned, when they did put them together, it was actually proving effective. Argentina are losing magnificently. A mucho bueno a loser, or something like that, says Kernowick. Also, the gap between these 2 sides are enormous right now. And I think the All Blacks will be looking at this going, right, we've got the 31 points on the board. Now we need to extend it even more. It sounds brutal, but they'll be looking to try and get as many points as physically possible over this Argentine side for that points differential side of things in the Rugby Championship. If we have a quick look at what the Rugby Championship looked like last year, this is how it finished. Now, the All Blacks in the end, they did finish with one more bonus point than South Africa, so that was well and truly helping them to get themselves the victory. But if you take away that extra bonus point, that points differential, they did have about a 22-point differential, which they could actually end up with at the end of this game, depending on how many tries they are able to score. But South Africa, they will be looking to score a lot of points up against Argentina when they play up against them. I'd like to think by then, with it being the third game for Los Pumas, they would have found a bit more of their momentum. That's the one Fluffy says, Kernowick. And come on, something. Kasa. There's a Fluffy. And AB's XV looked good against Japan, says Mumbo Jumbo Kiwi. They did come right in the second half. I think the first half, they were a little bit anticlimactic compared to what a lot of people thought that they would be. But I think that was also down to Japan being better in that first half due to just bringing that passion, having the home crowd advantage. And then the second half came around, and that was when the players who were on Super Rugby, their gas tanks kept going, whereas the Japanese players who haven't been playing in a while, their gas tanks diminished a little bit. The ABs will be going into the second half with the mentality that it's still 0-0. Yeah, and that's the best way to do it, because, I mean, it's perfectly worked out that they're on the same points differential as what Springboks were after full time. But, yeah, they'll be saying, boys, we need to match this. Let's get another 31 points ahead. Or let's try and crack 50 and just keep on playing the game the way that we have been. Like, they won't look at it as, okay, now that we've won this game, we can rest up a little bit and then we'll go into that game up against the Springboks relatively fresh. They will be looking at this game going, this is our one big chance to be able to hugely impact this Rugby Championship points differential. And still waiting for a try of Narawa. Come on, boy, you can do it, says Nicholas. To be fair, he's only touched the ball about twice, but in those 2 times, he's been looking good with it. So I hope he does get over the line, to be honest. Who else do I want to see get over the line? I don't know. Oh, here's a question. That's a massive moth over there on that window. But here's a question, ladies and gentlemen. First try scorer of the second half. Who is everyone going with? I'm going to say it will be an All Black player. Dane Coles is probably a decent shout, seeing as the All Blacks might look for that rolling maul if Argentina give away the penalty. But I will say I'll go Rico Ioane again. I think that's a decent guess. In Argentina, we want to see them get over the line. And I think if Argentina do get over the line, it might be either Mateo Carreras out on that right wing side, or the other option, I think, for them big time is Pablo Matera, because we did see him still trying throughout that first half, and he was looking like one of the more dangerous. Fukando Isa off the bench, very good option. Manuel to score first, says Fluffy. Artie, says Kernowick. Rico or Geordie. Seems weak in the centre, says yes, I am Lizard. Bodie, says NATO. Caleb says the snooze. Also, we have got there Artie Savia from the Libst universe. Now, New Zealand, they are out on the field already, waiting for Los Pumas to make their way out of the tunnel, which they do still get a round of applause from the crowd in attendance, but they want to see some points on the board from the Argentines in this game. Massive stream, brother man. Shout out from the centre plateau. Keep warm, champ, says Paul. Thank you very much for tuning in, mate. Usually appreciate it. And we've got plenty more coming up in the near future. We've got all the Rugby Championship games, pre-season games for the Rugby World Cup, and then, of course, all the way through the Rugby World Cup, we are covering each and every single game. The Phantom, says Kernowick, and just want Argentina to show the AB some resilience or some resistance, making them work harder, says Rudy. And I feel like that will benefit the All Blacks in the long run as well, if they are in a bit more of a battle in the second half. But it's kicked off long by Damian McKenzie. Nicely taken inside of the 22 by Mateo Carreras, but tackled by Amoni Narawa. Now Argentina already find themselves inside of the Argentine 22. Not in position yet, but I believe that a kick will be not too far away. Almost charged down. Nice work from Santiago Carreras to relieve some of the pressure, but he kicks it down towards the halfway line to Damian McKenzie, who goes off to the left to Caleb Clark. Tries to bulldoze his way over the top of Lucio Cinti, but he is tackled well. Scott Barrett, tail to McKenzie. Sam Kane sells the dummy, almost breaking through the gap, but up to the 22 for the All Blacks. Damian McKenzie running onto that one nicely. Little drop pass off to Damian McKenzie, who wasn't expecting it. He thought that Bowden was going on the outside to Amoni Narua. Now will be the scrum feed for Argentina. Watching you from sunny Crete on holiday. Come on the All Blacks, says David. And Narua is going to get some high ball with the sun being well behind in this half. And appreciate the dedication, says Geza. Yeah, I think you guys can probably see by now that my eyeballs, that one's bad on that side. They are quite bloodshot. We have been up all night, which is, I mean, some would call it not the smartest play, but I think it was a good idea at the time. Can you do the basketball next Sunday? Auckland Tuatara versus Wellington Saints at 6 p.m, Hamish. On Sunday at 6 p.m. next week. What's on then? That might be roughly when my parents come home. But I also wouldn't know a single thing about any of the players in that contest. And Sam Kane and John Cena are the same level in visibility. Says Cited and NATO Potato has said top man. Another one to get the try on debut, hopefully, says Polder. I hope so too. I feel like he deserves it after the season that he's had in the Chiefs, or for the Chiefs. I feel like it would be a nice end to the story, I guess. And leave this to talk. Let them play the game. It's rugby, not for sissies. Come on, says Gullivan. Now Pablo Matera breaking off the back of the scrum, running over the top of Geordie Barrett, who then ended up almost getting a knee to the balls from Angus Gardner. Kicked downfield again. Bowden Barrett lines it up nicely. Little bit of extra pressure coming from Argentina. And now it's a foot race between Dane Coles. Oh, now he has pushed the Argentine player. What's happened? Why are they going back? Oh, Juan Martin Gonzalez knocked the ball on. That is unfortunate. Your folks away again, no disrespect. No, they are home at the moment, but they'll be leaving next Saturday and coming back next Sunday, just driving up to the airport. Dane Coles might have been a little bit of a push in the back of the Argentine player chasing the Ashes too, says Hensel. That is true. And yeah, this is a good jersey, good karma, says I Am Lizard. Hey, Dad, the man on Rugby League, or on Rugby League, and he is actually going to be joining me for that State of Origin game on Wednesday, so be sure to tune in for that, ladies and gentlemen. I like the AB's jersey there, Hearing Now Classic, better than that horrific French-designed World Cup one. Is this not the same? No, it's missing the white ferns on it, isn't it? If I'm not wrong, the one that they're wearing currently, but also hasn't got that World Cup badge. I do like the collar idea. It's just it was a big one. Are you going to do the Māori Whitaker versus Rekas fight, bro? Probably not, but I will possibly end up buying that pay-per-view, as I think that's going to be an absolutely awesome card. Has the State of Origin been won? It has. Queensland up 2-0 at the moment over the Blues. Penalty advantage now to the All Blacks. I think every single scrum we have seen the All Blacks manage to win themselves the penalty. Hi, Kiwi lads. Hope you are well. New Zealand seem to be owning in Mendoza. Yeah, it's way more one-sided than I was expecting. I think I said the All Blacks will win by 4 points or something around those lines. I thought that playing at home for the Pumas would really amp them up and get them going. Kind of like the Hawaiian party shirt for the World Cup, though. Turning up in the party shirt and ruin the French's party. Says, yes, I am Lizard. And Pumas are doing more knock-ons than a game of tiddlywinks. Says Kerno Week. Although New Zealand, that's probably one thing in this game that they have had that hasn't quite gone their way, and that is the amount of times that they have dropped the ball, which, you know, it will disappoint them a little bit, but I guess when you are playing such a fast-paced and aggressive style of just trying to get that ball down the field as quickly as possible, occasionally someone will end up putting it down, kicking it right for a left-wing try, says the Snooze. Yeah, does anyone rate Checker as a coach? I do. I feel like this game's probably not the best example to go off because in the past, with what he's been able to do with Argentina, they have wins over England. They have wins over New Zealand twice, which before he was a coach, they didn't have. So you know, he must be doing something right. The All Blacks now. Smith goes off to Rico Ioane. Thought about stretching out for a Caleb Clark, asked him for the ball, but instead they will go on the inside. Penalty goes the way of Argentina now. It's a neck roll in the breakdown. Was that Scott Barrett? If it was anyone, it would be Scott Barrett, I would think. So, yep, number 4, Scott Barrett, neck roll in the breakdown. All right, anyone highly that talks through his nose, says Fluffy. And French will eat you up, mate. says Michael. And if Argentina can prevent the ABs from scoring the rest of the game, I will consider it a good second half. And I'm surprised too. The forward pack of New Zealand are menacing the Argentinians. Speaking of the World Cup, I'm going to see South Africa versus Ireland, which will probably decide who plays the ABs in the quarterfinal. Going to be a few big games of that Rugby World Cup just around the corner. England taking on Argentina, actually their first game in the Rugby World Cup. But Argentina, they have now claimed that one. Moment sitting in the hands of Julian Montoya, and they have got the penalty advantage. Now going off to the short side, going back for the penalty as well now. A dog roll, neck roll, says, yes, I am Lizard. And also, we have got to Australia play South Africa. If they did, who won? So it was South Africa. They did manage to get themselves the victory, 43 points to 12. Right, Argentina now with that penalty have moved inside of the All Blacks 22 for one of the first times in quite a wee while. I'm all good. I felt like I was going to sneeze, so I was flying off to the side trying not to. Take it easy, Hamish. And the Kiwi I like. Take care. I'll take it. That's a big compliment. Thank you very much, Michael. Argentina must go and score now. They can't go on like this because the All Blacks are going to score the whole time, says Yuri. Now the Pumas are sitting 20 metres out from the All Blacks line. Sordoni going across. Tyrell Lomax makes the low tackle there. Should also mention Dane Coles has gone off the field and his replacement, Cody Taylor, has now made his way out there. And he actually just made that tackle. Now Sordoni again. Tackle by Shannon Frizzell. Lomax tried to get over the breakdown. Now that seems to be the tactic for New Zealand is no matter what, every breakdown, throw at least one player in there and get the turnover. And that is what they've been able to do there. Geordie Barrett, not a lot of space at all to be able to clear that ball. They will still, it's actually hit an Argentine player. Geordie Barrett seems to be obsessed with clapping today. I don't know why, because he's disappointed, but it is going to be an All Blacks line out. But every once in a while, Geordie Barrett's just sitting there and then just slaps the hands together. And if you need to sneeze, do it. You can pop your eardrums holding it in, says Kessa. Yeah, that wouldn't be ideal, would it? Big kick from Damian McKenzie down towards the halfway line now. Argentina. They will be inside of their half, pride in the line, defensive time. And also sucks. I thought you were pulling up the guitar. No, the guitar is on there. It's over there. Near the wall, can't reach it, unfortunately, so you guys won't be able to hear me play, sadly. South Africa had a practice run. They're a little bit earlier on. I saw him. Bowden Barrett and Geordie Barrett have both said on separate occasion on camera that dog roll schlong is huge, says Marco. Yeah, it's nice from New Zealand by the sounds of it. Turning over with that tactic. If we commit to the breakdown in these numbers against South Africa, they are going to steamroll us, says yes, I am Lizard. So perhaps it is just a tactic for this game as they've seen that it's going to work. Up against Argentina, Tyrell Lomax and Caleb Clark making the tackle there. I think Angus Gardner once again actually ended up almost taking some contact. Nice spin from Julian Montoya. Thought about the offload. Now there is going to be the advantage. Tyrell Lomax, he has been called for offside. In fact, it was Simasoni Tokiaho, I believe, who has been given. No, he's not even playing, so it must have been Tyrell Lomax. No advantage. Off to the left-hand side, Emiliano Bofelli goes to Santiago Carreras. Greeting from Malaysia, says Izal. Welcome in. Nice big run from Thomas Gallo, one of the standouts for Argentina. He's found the offload to Rodrigo Bruni. They're only 5 meters out now for Los Pumas, and this is the perfect opportunity. But now, Rico Ioane making the crucial tackle to slow down the momentum. Around the side, Sordoni, Cody Taylor. Thought about trying in the intercept, but gets knocked off to the side. Now Shannon Frizzell. Good ball security at the moment from Los Pumas. And you can hear the crowd. They are starting to cheer for them as they know that they are closing in on possibly what could be their first try of this match. Just realized our scoreboard only says 40 minutes. 42, I think it was. Now around the side, another penalty advantage for Argentina this time. And it was Josh Lord who ended up getting himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now Santiago Carreras goes out wide. Nice stepping from the young number 14. Cancellieri. He wasn't even in the side up until just before big run forward. That looked like a knock on, though, from Argentina. Unfortunately, they've said play on. Big shot coming in from Amoni Narawa. That's going to be going back for the original penalty. Any injuries in the South Africa-Australia game? Only Tom Hooper, I believe, is the one that I saw with an injury. Other than that, I don't think we had too many. I know that they didn't actually use Damien Valimza in the end. They decided to keep Mani Libok on the field the whole time. If you don't chop the ankles, they will. Says the snooze and over-typing on cell phone. Tiny little buttons make mistakes. I got Mission Impossible on the TV, like Lowell says, Gregor. Now only 5 meters out. Now, Thomas Gallo. He's extremely close now for Argentina. They've got another penalty advantage. That ball is on the line, I would say. No, it's another advantage for Argentina. I think the All Blacks might be close to going to the bin here as well. Now Sordoni, just short of Rizzi. No, let's give it as the try. He gets over. Sordoni scores the first try of the match for the Pumas. There you go. Great start to the second half for Argentina. So we will go like that as well. I think the only time that we see this fella is when he's got the spoiler of when the try is going to be. I think that's the only time we're seeing him. No other conversation other than just try. Then we see it just a little bit after. Argentina scored, says JP. They certainly did. It was Sordoni who managed to get themselves one. Good reach, says the snooze, and weak goal line defence after such good goal line defence in Super Rugby. Says, yes, I am Lizard. Now 53 minutes through. Emiliano Boffelli now. First chance for Argentina to line up a kick at the post. We saw McKenzie miss his first. For Argentina now, Emiliano Boffelli actually done the same. He's missed his first kick also. So now the difference between the two sides, 26. If Argentina score 2 more tries, that will take away the All Blacks bonus point, but that might still be a little way off. And go the All Blacks. Come on, guys. We can do this, says Janine. And that's one reason why I don't write much, says Cindy. Sordoni getting over the line. And all aroa to Argentina, though. I prefer them over Oz and South Africa. There's Nazi Williams, but it's kicked off long by the All Blacks. Sam Cane trying to make the tackle. Does get bumped off by Rodrigo Bruni, but he does slow him down. So the All Blacks now are attacking the Argentines inside of the Pumas 22. I see Nicolas Sanchez has also made his way onto the field. He's gone with a box kick there. Hasn't quite worked out for him, and that ball's been bumped into touch by Argentina. And now about 5 meters out from the line, New Zealand are going to have themselves the line out. And yeah, not a good clearing kick from Nicolas Sanchez for his first touch of the day. All Blacks need to put 50 on them, says Xavier. And see what I mean by the mistakes, says Gregor. George, not exactly close. Sure. I'm running out of vocal cords anyway. This one. Now, Ofa Tuangafasi has also made his way onto the field, I should mention. For the All Blacks, Damien McKenzie goes on the outside to now Bowden Barrett. And taken down, but managed to find the offload away to Caleb Clark. So the All Blacks looking to fire straight back after giving away the penalty. That is a clean turnover from Argentina, and they are now starting to roll. Emiliano Boffelli close to the touchline. Tupavai also has made his way onto the field. That is a knock-on from Gonzalo Berrano at a crucial time. Oh, thank God for that try, says Avon. And got to play territory Argentina and keep the discipline, ABs. Go through the phases. What is the bonus point system for the Rugby Championship? It's a bit weird, but it is the 3 or more tries than your opposition. So pretty much if the ABs are able to get themselves, let's say in this case, 5 tries and Argentina have 2, then they will still get the bonus point. Have a vodka and a spot, mate, says Nazi Williams. Go the All Blacks. We can do this, New Zealand. Now scrum for the ABs. I don't believe we've seen a scrum as of yet in this contest that the All Blacks haven't got themselves the penalty. I've decided to take Ethan de Groot off relatively early. I'm wondering whether that is something to do with an injury, or maybe that is because they want to use him next week in the game up against South Africa. They've decided that he is a good option Josh Lord, sorry, also getting taken off the field for Tupavai, like I mentioned. I believe the All Blacks have made 3 changes so far. Now Aaron Smith going off to Damien McKenzie. Ball in behind now, breaking forward. They've got the option on the outside. It's going to be Beauden Barrett. And he does get himself over the try line again. Once again, he's tried to done the spoiler in the chat, though. I feel bad because I feel like there might be a language barrier. But if you can avoid it, ladies and gentlemen, be sure not to react to the try before we have mentioned it. 56 minutes in, though, that will be the first try of the second half for the All Blacks. And it's taken them a little while to be able to cross that line. Barrett, 56. That is the try now. And bring on the Boca Mandela and Ashes tomorrow, mate. That is the plan. At the moment, they've been cutting it down nicely, the English. But I think, how many wickets down were they at the end of the day? Last time I checked, they hadn't lost one, but I'm not sure what it is sitting at now. Because I don't think I got to see the final moments of the day. And cheers, says Geza. I was going to bring on the Boca Mandela. And guys, please don't mention scores until Hamish does. Says Geza. I think it's only at this stage, it's only the one person who is doing it, but that's all right. I expect he will do it for the next try too. And none close. And how many runs were they on, Enzo? I know they were on about 30 when I saw it, so they might be a little bit more than that as well. Wrong, Timmy boy. It was Bodie, not Artie, or the Phantom, says Kerno. It's gone off to the side for Damien McKenzie. Again, not quite able to convert, but that makes it back to that 31-point difference between the two sides. Dave Rennie, big smiles at Eddie, says Blues Nate. And AB's to score 3 more tries. Come on, boys, says Zane. And also Barrett denying Narawa his first try earlier. Classic Beauden Barrett says, yes, I am Lizard. And think around 35 to 40-ish. Here's Hensel. Nicely taken by Caleb Clark now. Geordie Barrett, big boot. Geordie Barrett says Janine George. Then 27 without loss. Close, says Geza. Okay, so, yeah, it should be heating up for a nice final. Well, I think it's going to be the final day anyway, unless, of course, there's a whole heap of rain that affects it. Yeah, we will be covering it tomorrow night. That's another penalty now to the All Blacks. What will the ABs do against the Wallabies? They don't look good right now. Says Cited. I mean, I think I'm trying to work out whether or not Argentina scored before or after they made those couple changes. I think Josh Lord was still out on the field when they scored. Same with Ethan de Groot. For the All Blacks, I mean, it did look a little bit rough for them that last little moment. Seems like now they've been able to take that momentum back. 59 minutes into the game. Currently sitting 36 points to 5. Another 3 or 4 tries on the board would be massive for them. Argentina should sack Michael Cheika. I don't know what they were thinking, appointing him after the Rugby World Cup 2019. Dumb decision by Rugby Argentina. I don't think he's done too bad, though, has he? Like, at the end of the day, if you look at Argentina and the wins that they've had since then, like, they've won against the All Blacks twice, which they had never done before he was a part of the coaching staff. They beat England, which was a massive win for them as well. It's just, this game, I think it's always underestimated how much playing rugby regularly can help you at international level. And because these Argentine players haven't played for a month or two, it's made it pretty tricky for them. And how many time left? Says Janine, currently sitting with just over 20 minutes. So about 20 minutes, 15 seconds. Better second half from the Pumas. And nicely stolen there from Los Pumas. That was actually Pablo Matera who got up in the sky. Managed to get the turnover. Now big fend from Thomas Lavanini. Maybe he's now defending on the halfway line as it goes across to Matthias Alimano. Goes to Thomas Gallo, who was extremely close to scoring himself the try. And Cheika has done good with Argentina so far, says Cited. Now, nice step there. I believe that was Matthias Orlando only recently making his way onto the field as well. Why is McKenzie's kicking game off tonight? Not sure. Someone was saying earlier on that it's because New Zealand players like when it's windy. I think was what someone said, but I'm not sure whether or not that is the case of why McKenzie hasn't quite been on song with the kicking department. That is a good kick in behind from Argentina. Is that a 50-22? No, it's not. Not quite. But it is now going to be an All Blacks line out throw only about 10 metres out from the line, maybe dividing his team between Argentina and Lebanon Rugby League. I might not have been wise, says Geza. And Narawa scored a try yet? Not yet. But he's working on it. I don't think they'll take him off, which is good news for him. I think they'll take off Rico Ioane very soon because they won't want to lose him for the game next week up against South Africa. So more than likely, I can see Braden Ennor making his way on the field relatively soon. Also, Nepo Lolala, I believe, has just made his way out onto the park, and that is for Tyrell Lomax. Finley Christie also out there on the park. That was for Finley Christie. Thomas Lavanini, his day is over. New Zealand commentators have just said he's made it through a day without getting a card. Brutal, but also slightly true. Richie Mo'unga, his first kick is charged down also. What's up with that? Both All Blacks number 10s for Damian McKenzie and Richie Mo'unga, their first kicks have been charged down. Is Richie on? Says Janaean. He is now. Number 22. I'm just looking through at the back line. Who else is on the field? I think Rico's still out there. I don't see Dalton Papali as of yet, so he might not be a mile off either. Bye-bye the Pumas, says Joseph. Now, Emiliano Bolfelli gives it off to Pablo Matera towards the halfway line. Oh, in fact, Bowden Barrett has gone off the field for Richie Mo'unga, they have just shown. Which is relatively interesting. I would have thought it would have been McKenzie who went off, but maybe they're trying out McKenzie at fullback as well for the last kind of 20 minutes. See how that works out. Bertrano now goes up to Gallo. Now Nicholas Sanchez, skip pass out wide to, it was the replacement, Matthias Orlando. Argentina, a lot more position in the second half compared to what they had in the first. Sordoni, tackle well by Tupavai. Now Nicholas Sanchez, little looping around. Take from Santiago Carreras. Better ball security, though, from the Pumas in the second half. Who's going off? I didn't hear right, says Janine. So Finley Christie, he's now on the field for Aaron Smith. Tyrell Lomax was off the field for Ofa Tuangafasi. And then also we're seeing Bowden Barrett go off the field for Richie Mo'unga. And Ian Foster has 9 lives, says Ivan. What do you think the end score will be? I think that the All Blacks aren't done scoring yet, but I also get that little bit of a feeling about the Pumas that they might not have finished their scoring ways. Now Montoya almost going through the gap. Advantage over for the knock-on. Finley Christie makes a driving tackle there. Now Scott Barrett, they tried to find another offload there for the Pumas. It looked like it might have travelled forward, but it is going to be play on. Now Lucio Cinti going to the short side to Juan Matan Gonzalez, who's been bent in all sorts of weird angles now after that tackle attempt. Now back across Bertrano. Goes to the replacement lock, who does loop around nicely. Tackled low by Sam Cane. They have still got the penalty advantage now on the outside. Matthias Orlando. Is it up to Carreras? I might consider the short side. No, Nicholas Sanchez does run forward. So he will certainly look to use the men on the other side. Sorry if I was the spoiler. I thought you were ahead of me, not behind. Says Yvonne. No, it wasn't you. You're all good. It was another fella who we haven't seen in a while because there hasn't been a try. You'll know exactly who we're talking about, though, when we see the next try scored in the game. 17 minutes, Janine, says Kurnovic. And also, Weber had a good game versus the Japan XV, says NATO. How much time? So, yeah, it's still 17 minutes remaining. Geordie Barrett, actually the man who got himself over the breakdown to win that penalty. He's clapping again. He's obsessed with clapping. I don't know who he's seen clap recently, but he's certainly taken after them. Ian Foster, only 3 months to go before Razor takes over. Says Blues Nate and come on the All Blacks, says Clarissa. And Richie on the field, he certainly is. And also is that number 15, Geordie Barrett. Says Samoan. Oh, you think they're going Geordie Barrett, number 15, and maybe Mo'unga or McKenzie as number 12, trying to reshuffle a little bit. Could be another option. And they should have chosen Mark Talia or Cam Roigard. Or Cam Roigard. Reason they didn't pick Talia was due to injury. Roigard, I agree with, though. I think they should have had him in rather than Finley Christie. Cody Taylor now with the throw. Thomas Gallo is gone off the field, and Vivas is now on. Now Richie Mo'unga, short ball from Geordie Barrett to Rico Ioane, but Argentina get themselves another penalty. Come on, the All Blacks, we got this. It's Currently sitting with that 31 points differential between these two teams. The All Blacks, if they get any more tries, that will put them at a little bit more of a buffer compared to what the Springboks were in their game up against the Australians. So there might be a little bit of an injury here for Nicolas Sanchez. That's not what we want to see. Looks like the knee. He can't actually straighten that leg at the moment. Only been on the field for a very brief amount of time. But he did stay down. I think it might have been either a knee clash with Jordie Barrett or just the angle that he tried to make the tackle at might have hurt him. And also the All Blacks machine says, Nicholas, in 3 more months, woohoo, until our saviour Razor saves us all. I could just use Sean Stevenson and Kenny Naholo, says Giandon. And League Styles, D-Mac plays it flat and drops deep. And Wallabies lost against the Springboks, 43 points to 12. Hamish Pro Springboks now leading the table. The All Blacks back to the top of the table, regain their spot, or to regain their spot. Yeah, if they get one more try and Argentina don't score anymore, then they would take out that number one. And poor Sanchez, says NATO. Just talking about Nicolas Sanchez, unfortunately, ended up with that injury. Left Stade Francais. Rico, next time, reach out. Says the snooze and Big Scott Barrett, the next AB's captain. Or who do you think Razor will pick? I think he'll probably look at Savia as the option, but it depends a little bit, because if Sam Kane's still there, they might still put him as an option. Sam Whitelock, I don't know. By the time Razor's in, I think that might be near the end of Sam Whitelock's stint. Just because I think this year he's even getting close to the end. Jordie Barrett is having a massive game, or what? Yeah, he's had a very strong game, and I feel like he's helping book himself as that number 12. A lot of people were uncertain, but he is now, I'd say, right up there as a good chance. Keeping that spot. We've also got Dalton Papali'i now on the field. That is going to be for Shannon Frizzell. And Scott B definitely forerunner as captain. I agree with that. I doubt Razor will even consider Kane at all. Now Sam Kane playing. He's had a decent game so far throughout this fixture. I'd say that he hasn't done too much wrong. I just sneezed really loud. And who went off? So for him, it was Shannon Frizzell. Moonga puts the ball high. Nicely taken by the youngster Mateo Carreras, tackled by Amoni Narawa. So even though he hasn't had too much of the ball in hand, Amoni Narawa, he has still been making the tackles required. Razor has a strong staff, says this news. He certainly does. Kane won't make the ABs under Razor, I think. Better sevens than him, I think. Says Enzo. Well, the fact that Tom Christie wasn't even selected for the ABs XV or the All Blacks, no, he's certainly someone that Razor will feel highly highly fond of, I should say. And while I'm muting that sneeze versus NATO, and Sam is having a big game, it is just that hits to overhead. It's for a captain, says Janine. And got to play a box kick with this time of desperation. No need to worry, but I like the full 80 boys. There's this news. Looks like they are going to be going back again for a knock-on against Argentina. All Blacks now with 12 minutes remaining on the clock. We still sit with that 31-point difference. Here comes Augustine Crevi making his way out onto the field again. He is going to be replacing Julio Montoya. How long has that man Crevi been around for the Argentines? He's seen it all when it comes to that international team. Now, looking forward to his next stint in the Gallagher Premiership coming up just around the corner. Razor, I'll train our man Keynes to Europe or Japan. And Razor will pick entirely on form and better second half so far from Los Pumas. I agree. I feel like the second half we've seen a lot more of what people thought we would see in the first half. It's just taken the 40 minutes and the All Blacks to score 5 quick tries for them to then find their kind of momentum. But in the second half, it's actually only sitting 5 points to 5, which is, a lot stronger from the Argentines. That man is a legend, I reckon. Amy says the snooze. He helped build the arc, I believe, says Hensel. And what is the score? At the moment, it is 36 points to 5. So not too many tries scored throughout the second half, just the one for Argentina of Sodone, and then also the one for New Zealand of Bowden Barrett. And then Christie feeds that ball into the scrum. Good scrum from the Pumas to be able to hold strong. Kicked in behind from Richie Moonga towards the touchline. Nicely taken by Santiago Carreras. Had to cover a huge amount of ground so far throughout this fixture. Up against the ABs. Rush defence from Dalton Pabali. Now it looks like rolling the ball back by Zan Velez. Now he'll put the ball high. No, in fact, he keeps it in play for the Argentines. They go out wide on the left-hand side. Here comes Carreras. Absolute speedster, but he hasn't had too much of a crack to break the line so far for the Argentines. Now Pablo Matera holding the ball in one hand. Gets tackled well by Jordi Barrett, but they have still got the penalty advantage as they move up to the halfway line. Bazan Velez going off short. Told to release him. Out to the left, they've still got penalty advantage. Nicolas Sanchez goes across, and again it is going to be Carreras. And they will go back for the initial penalty. Sounds like Crevi and Michael Leach are just built different, says NATO. You think the All Blacks should play like this against the Springboks next weekend? I think they should play like they did in the first half. Second half, not so much. They haven't been able to find that same rhythm as they had throughout the first 40 minutes. And G, the Kiwi lad says, keeping it low. Welcome in, mate. You are keeping well. And the best kia ora, All Blacks forever, says Giancarlo. Argentina burning it downfield. They will be approximately 30 metres out from the All Blacks line. And Alan's son, Caleb, just made a tackle. Is that his first tackle all year? Says Michael. Well, sorry, it says Michael. I don't know where Michael came from. It says Marco, I should say. So I was saying Kane classed as King County player these days, says John. I mean, to be fair to him, he hasn't been too bad throughout this one so far. And Hamish, when's your birthday? I'll send some strippers for you and George. It is in December, so still a little way before we get to it. In Japan versus the Pumas. Who wins, you reckon, says Mr. Lerm. I'd say that the Pumas would, but, you know, we just need to get these guys some rugby. That's the big thing. I feel like as the Rugby Championship progresses, they will start to get better. Even after the first 40 minutes of rugby, they got better. So, yeah, I just think they need more time. That is a great turnover from Sam Cane. Getting the ball back again. Now Richie Moonga picks it in behind. Tried to get it to McKenzie. I believe that they are saying, yes, it was the knock on. Caleb has been bumping off game. Or has a bumping off game. He is just getting not that much of the ball, you think, says Genadine. And I think the same situation for Ramoni Narawa on the other wing. We just haven't really seen the All Blacks need to use the full back line as of yet. Well done, All Blacks, from a Springbok fan. Looking forward to the next match. There's Willie there. Anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe because we will be covering that All Blacks versus South Africa fixture. Should be a very entertaining one. George will be frothing at the mouth and will be bricked up. Says Marco. Good roll by the boys, says the snooze. Now 7.5 minutes remaining. Like I mentioned, only 5 points for each of these sides in the second 40 minutes. So the Pumas bringing it back quite nicely, slowing down the All Blacks momentum. Like they're saying, Xavier, he will play the full 80 minutes of this game. Makes you wonder whether or not he will be starting in that next match up against the Springboks or whether it is instead Luke Jacobson. Both front rows go down. That's actually the first scrum reset I believe we've had of this fixture. What is the time, says Charmaine, at the moment? It is sitting at 73 minutes through the game. So still another 7 minutes remaining in this one. I know my team, we're going to win the Springboks, says Genadine. I think I've said your name about 15 different ways as well, so I do apologise if I am mispronouncing it a little bit. Pretty balanced second half. Just a shame Puma started so slow. I couldn't do that against New Zealand, or can't do that against New Zealand. No wonder they got 4 tries. But yeah, the second half, I think they've shown that they have got the potential, you know, because of the fact that they are sitting 5-5 in terms of the points, but it just took them a bit longer to find their feet. Gone down this time, the All Blacks, though. Scrum time has been a one-sided affair, and a majority of the time, the All Blacks have either got themselves the penalty advantage from a scrum or they have walked away with that penalty. All Blacks, Argentina, mi respeto, says Giancarlo. Like how Fozzie still looks frustrated. He will be. He would have loved that first half going, yep, this is easy. And then the second half came around and they've looked not as dangerous. Geordie Barrett, he looks like he's got a little bit of a cut maybe on the side of the cheek, or it might even be a bleeding nose there for Barrett. Looks like he's going to be continuing just for now. Almost done, Hamish. Big rest up and hot chips, says Blues Nate. I'm glad it's not a nil win, says Mr. Lerman. Agree because ABs have been consistent all game, but the Pumas only played the second half. It's going to be a free kick now to the All Blacks for Argentina, closing the gap. Do they take the tap? It looks like they're going to. Dalton Papali'i wants to have a crash ball, or instead they go Tupavai. It's taken down early by Rodrigo Isgro. That's the wrong name. Rodrigo Isgro actually plays for the Argentine Sevens. The name that I meant was Rodrigo Bruni. And come on, just one try, says Charmaine. Now Christie goes off to Braden Eno. Quick hands to Caleb Clark. Explosive step on the inside, but dragged down 3 meters out off Atuanga Fasi. Big shot coming on him. And good brutal rugby by the boys, says the snooze. And this is a Ryan special, says the snooze. Now looking for that one. Savia goes off to Tupavai. Christie now off to the right. Richie Moonga. Short ball to Geordie Barrett. Sam Kane going to be held up 10 meters out from the line, but he does now get himself to ground. Damien McKenzie cut out pass for Ramoni Narawa. And on his debut, he's scored the line. Or scored the try, I should say. There he is. He's back again, the fella who just says try. Because, I mean, he saw it a little bit before us. I decided not to read the chat beforehand, though, when they got close, because I knew that he put it in if they did score. And boring second half, because All Blacks stopped scoring. First half was good. And good game, boys. And yes, yeah, brother, says Polra there. But Amoni Narawa on debut gets himself over the try line. And after the season that he's had for the Chiefs, I'd expect that that would not be the only time that he does cross the line for the ABs throughout this season. Not just the Rugby Championship in general. Another one up the Bay of Plenty. I think we got this, boys. What's happened to me scoreboard? It's decided to change a little bit. One moment. We'll go like this. There we go. And the Russian strikes again, says cited. And there it is, New Zealand. Just up the ante when they want, says Gregor. But now, New Zealand with a 36-point difference. All Blacks rolling back the years, says Edwin. That one has missed off to the side. And great win for the AB, says Kevin there. Another one is the GOAT, says Charmaine. And time for one more. Let's go, says NATO Potato. Now 2.5 minutes remaining. Nicholas Sanchez kicks off long. Trying to force the All Blacks to kick the ball back to them. Welp still going to put the music on 100, says the snooze. Downfield, good clearing kick from Geordie Barrett. And Yonarawa is going to start again next week. Oh, they're going to choose Will Jordan. It will depend a little bit on how Will Jordan's injury is progressing. I know that he had a little bit of one. I think it was something to do with a leg, if I'm not wrong. So they may go with Narawa again, to be honest, or maybe Mark Delia if he is back from his injury. 4 missed kick, 8 points. Need to sort that out. They do, says Gregor. Now sitting on the halfway line now. 2 minutes remaining. Richie Moonga slinging it across to Braden Eno. Now one more on the outside to Amoni Narawa, who once again tries to back himself on the outside, but it's a great tackle made by Carreras. Finley Christie goes across to Geordie Barrett off of Atuanga Fasi, met on the halfway line. And this seems like the All Blacks have just upped the tempo a little bit more in the last minute or so. They want one more try to help them with that points differential. Short ball to Sam Kane. Tackle well by Lucio Cinti. The ball was slightly loose for a second, but Finley Christie able to clean it up now. Richie Moonga forced towards the touchline with 2 Argentine players over the ball. They get the penalty as well, Los Pumas. Now, they've got a little bit of a decision to make here. They go for the 3? I doubt it. Will they go for the corner? I think so. Well, we'll go like this. Go like that. There we go. And head on different points of South Africa, all the same. At the moment, they are just a little bit ahead. 36 is the points differential between them. If Argentina score now and convert, it would mean that Argentina have cut them down just that little bit more, and the Springboks would be sitting at the top. Now another advantage. Now Argentina passing it out wide. I believe the game is a little way from over, though, due to those penalty advantages still in play for Argentina. Now going back for the penalty. Stevenson, though, says Pete. What is the score? At the moment, it's sitting 41 points to 5 Narawa with the New Zealand or Zelensniak special. I said that really badly, didn't I? And then Richie has a question for international Hemi. Says the snooze. I think they'd have to give him a little bit more time because he's only had a few moments in this game. So I think to really get a feel for him this year, you got to start him. And the question is whether or not they do start him for that game next week, whether McKenzie once again does get himself the opportunity. Yes, Zach, check out a point. Jamie Joseph, Hugo Muller, and Franz Ludecki. This is unacceptable. Says Bupa. Like, once again, second half, they've been they've been a lot stronger in the second half for Argentina. You wonder, Krivy reaches out. He scores the try as well, the veteran, right at the end of the game. He has got a very long arm because I didn't think he was going to quite get there. But Argentina, they will get the last say, similar to what we saw for the Australians in the game up against the Springboks. But now this kick, it's either going to mean that the All Blacks lead by 31 and then they will be sitting on the exact same points differential as South Africa, or if Argentina get this kick over, then it will mean that South Africa are sitting number 1 in the Rugby Championship. At the end, good try. He only 3 points makes us 44, and come on, says Shemaine. Close conversion, says NATO. It is about 25 metres out. Where's the Russian? I think I accidentally timed him out after the last one, so yeah, sadly, we didn't get to see his there. Veteran score, what a legend, Krevy. Says Blues, Nate. And Checker just told him to hold on to the ball. Simple as that. Says, yes, I am Lizard. Come on, South Africa, says Janine. Emiliano Boffelli. He misses. So that now means that both games have a 31-point difference. And that now means that New Zealand and South Africa are both sitting on the exact same points for the Rugby Championship heading into their next game. It couldn't be any closer if it tried. Now I'm curious to know what the standings say. I believe they'll be sitting on first equal more than likely. What are the deciding factors in this competition? Normally they'd look down the line a little bit further in terms of who's had, I guess, more tries and whatnot, maybe. And also, so that means the second half was drawn. Says Geza. It does. So a very good half from Argentina, you'd have to say, from where it was at the end of the first half. And I feel like that is something that they'll look to improve on. They had a good 40 minutes in this game. They just need to turn it into 80 for their next contest. Throw the nice man a like, please, people, says Joseph. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Who said the All Blacks would win by 50 points or more? Not you. You only said try throughout the second half. And Tar, mate, good night from Germany. Good result, says Tar. Also, cheers, Amish. You're a star. Bloody good. First hit out for the ABs. You certainly clipped the Pumas claws for them. Shame D-Max points kicking, letting you down. Good night, all. I'm off. Team Scratcher, cheers, says Kennewick. Tries, says Blues Nate. You guys did well, says Janine. Welcome back, says Cited. And it was first on the table. Well, both of these sides have the exact same points differential. I'm just waiting for it to load in, but currently they haven't updated it on theirs. And it was, we've got the, I don't think Damien McKenzie will stay a goal kicker, says NATO, although they did have the option of Geordie Barrett, which they did decide against using. New Zealand should get more for an away win, says Trajan, and clever play for the All Blacks, and thanks so much, says T. Auriwa Apo. Thank you very much for tuning in, mate. It's hugely appreciated. Like I mentioned, we have got plenty more action coming up in the near future. When we've got the Rugby Championship, it is just around the corner for round number 2. And also a little bit of a post-match review just around the corner where we're going to look at a few of the stats to do with this matchup. Good game, boys. Keep doing good. Says Andrew. Thanks, Andrew. Says the Flying Pan Man. And also, we've got their Thirsty Kirsty post-match review. Yes, we like her a lot. Says Marco Vunipola. Thanks, says Charmaine. No worries. And they should let Geordie kick. Yeah, maybe he is a kicking option that they'll look to for the future. I'm curious to know who they would go with if it was Damien McKenzie and, oh, sorry, not Damien McKenzie, if it was Richie Mo'unga starting alongside Geordie Barrett, who gets the nod in that regard. 41 points to 10 in this contest. 41 points to 10. Zealand. Full time. There we go. Add that banner. Boomfa. It's down the bottom. If Pumas had complicated the game from the start, or hadn't complicated the game from the start, it might have been a bit closer. I was right. Amoni scored, says Rugby Championship. Thanks, Kiwi Lad, says Walter. No worries. Thank you very much for tuning in. And cheers to the ham man, says Michael. Thanks, Hamish. Says save there. Take care, everyone. Says Giza, I should say. Just subscribe. Really enjoyed your commentary. Says Craig. And we've got plenty more coming. We are covering every single game of the Rugby World Cup. We've also got the Ashes tomorrow night that we are covering for the cricket. And then alongside that, there are also a few other games that we are going to be covering in the relatively near future when it comes to the warm-up games of the Rugby World Cup and everything along those lines. Keep up the good work, says Tione. And great one for the All Blacks. Thank you. All the way from Namibia, says Marlo. And Richie would bang it down the middle all night for sure, says the Snooze. And how's the logs looking right now? So currently, I know that they both have the same points differential. Just waiting for them to update it, which they still haven't on the official Rugby Championship website. So we're just intrigued to see who they give that first place to. You'd assume maybe, I want to say maybe they would go with South Africa because they had more points scored. And maybe that comes into it in the whole long scheme of things, but very hard to tell. But in that regard, we've got ourselves a post-match review guest, ladies and gentlemen. It is Rugby Itch. He did join us for that last match. It did take place between South Africa and Australia. He will be joining us once again here to talk to us about their result. Rugby Itch, what do you think of that one, mate?
Yeah, no, it was a good game overall. Again, like I said, I did completely get it wrong in terms of my prediction. I thought Argentina would somehow bring this game a bit closer, as I thought that a bit of a home advantage thing would come into their into the atmosphere, you could say, in terms of this game and kind of help the Argentinians prevail, maybe get a victory. But no, I was completely wrong in that essence. Completely wrong. The All Blacks just kind of shut me up really for the first 10 minutes. Got essentially 3 tries off the bounce, and yeah, after that, they just looked unstoppable. Really, I think they got like 5 tries in the first half, which is like remarkable, really. But yeah, look, Argentina, I wasn't really impressed by them, really, in all honesty, in the first half, because they didn't have a lot of possession, really, because every single time they had the ball, they just kicked it straight back to the All Blacks. But yeah, I guess in the second half, they definitely prevailed a bit more, definitely held more of the possession, and definitely controlled the game to make it a bit more balanced. It wasn't one-sided at all. And yeah, just very happy to see Karevi get that last try, because who doesn't like a Karevi try? Come on, who doesn't like that? So yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Argentina in the second half actually matched the points up against the All Blacks. It was just that 31-0 start that they allowed them to have after the first 40 that really changed the game. Like, yeah, those early 3 tries in the first 11 minutes, the All Blacks just looked like they were on that extra level. And then from there, the Argentines, they managed to get themselves just a little bit back into it for that second half, getting themselves to 2 tries, actually both front rowers managing to score it. So perhaps that is something to look at for that game next week up against Australia, because both of the sides losing by 31 points. Rugby Championship can't be much closer than it is at the moment in terms of first and second and third and fourth. But yeah, it's going to be entertaining next week, that is for sure. The big game between the All Blacks and the Springboks, but then also that Wallabies versus Pumas game. Going to be a big one as well.
I've just noticed, was it? See, this is where I was actually very confused, by the way, at the end. Was it 10 or was it 12 for the Argentina? Because I don't think they got the conversion, but they put it as 12 on the final score. So was it?
They did, didn't they? I just see it there for full time 12. I'm sure that he didn't get the kick over.
No, trust me. I actually thought Buffelli missed it. But then it just went straight to the scoreline. It just said 12, and I was like, oh, another siren. But it says 12. I was like, wait, really? And I was like, okay, I mean, I'll take it. But I was just like, because you are right, by the way. If it does stay what we think, if it's 41-10, then actually, yeah, both sides are on 31, and it means that I'm not even sure what it would come down to. Like, I guess try scored. I guess maybe. And then the All Blacks would be in that, I guess, because they scored 7, I think. But
the first kick from Argentina go over, maybe, and they just didn't give him, because I'm sure that last kick missed, didn't it?
I thought it missed, but I'll be honest, I actually wasn't. I only looked at the kick. I didn't actually see the referees on the bottom if they put their flags up or not. So I'm not even sure.
Okay, well,
so
I mean, that will make it a lot easier when it comes to the calculations, because that would mean the Springboks, they have got themselves number one.
Exactly.
We'll go with that.
For the meantime.
We have to watch that. See what
Exactly.
ended up.
We have to look at the highlights just to see that kick.
Well done, the mighty All Blacks, and thank you very much for the usual great commentary, says Cindy. And Argentina's everyone's useless punching bag, although they haven't played a lot of rugby recently, which I think really hurt them for that first half. It seemed to be once they found their momentum in the second, my voice is about to go, which is not ideal. But yeah, it was when they started playing more like the Pumas that we knew from last year in that second half. That was actually when, they looked like they would be able to compete up against the top sides. And the All Blacks, the handling was probably the big thing for them in this game. Yeah. But Argentina's penalty count, I think, was a little bit too high, wasn't it? In terms of what they would have wanted it to be.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because I actually thought Angus Garner would actually give more yellow cards for the Argentinians, but I think he only give one for the game to Argentina?
I think so, and that was off the one that was the deliberate knockdown of Bruni, wasn't it?
Exactly. So it seemed that he was actually kind of just giving. I'm not saying there's a bit of sympathy, but I'm just saying that it felt like the All Blacks were just continuing to pressure. And I think Angus Garner was like, what, I think they're just going to get more and more. So there's no point in kind of just letting it on. So I don't know if, again, it didn't really disrupt the game. So I was kind of happy in that sense. But yeah, I mean, what do you think overall? Do you think there was kind of a standout player throughout the game? Do you think what do you think is your man of the match instead, at least?
I would say Geordie Barrett, I think, really stepped up in this contest.
Geordie Barrett, okay. I actually didn't have him in my free players because I normally say free players who I thought stood out. I didn't actually think of Geordie Barrett.
Okay. Who did you have as your 3?
Well, I had McKenzie. Just thought he was just all over the place really for the game. I had Beauden Barrett because he really stood out actually for me. I just thought he was just everywhere really. And got the try. I think the best try of the game actually was Beauden Barrett's one where McKenzie had that little play with Beauden Barrett, and he got it on the left wing. And then the third player I said was Sam Kane, just because I thought overall his tackling within the game was really pretty impressive. I mean, that one tackle he had early on in the first half, we just smashed the guy. I was like, oh, I was like, okay, that's impressive. That's impressive. But yeah, Geordie Barrett though, yeah, gotta give him credit. I mean that what was it, the third try of the game, I believe, in the 11 minutes. Good try from him. But I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think. He did actually win the ball for the breakdown once. And you know what? Yeah, I mean, Geordie Barrett could have been in the top 3 for me. He could have been in the top 3. I just wanted to give it. I just wanted to give it towards I always try not to do 3 forwards or 3 backs. I always kind of like to split it. So it's maybe a bit unfortunate for him. But yeah, I went with McKenzie as my man of the match. But yeah, it could have been anyone really.
And now we have to just wait less than 7 days to get to see them play again. Argentina taking on Australia. That will be in Australia, so a long travel for them to get over to Australia. New Zealand, they have to fly back to New Zealand. They're going to be playing up against the South Africans on home soil. It's going to be a great game, but of course,
I can't wait.
Anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, if you do enjoy us, we have got a new podcast. It is the Pin Comment in the description/comment section thing. Be sure to check that out. We have got a post pretty much, I guess, tomorrow or the next day. We are going to have the podcast summarizing these games. My brain stopped working now that the game's over. It's currently 9:09 a.m. I have been up for a very long time.
Yeah, man, I'm out of what you're doing.
I'm sleeping.
I can't even do what you're doing. I've done it for basketball in the past, like where I stood at like 4 a.m. and I was like, oh, this is like horrendous for me. And I don't even know how you're at 9. This is like, jeez, I can't even imagine how tired you are. But yeah, guys, definitely leave a like on the video, by the way, guys. Hamish definitely deserves it. And definitely give us a subscribe. Definitely click that subscribe button if you haven't already. But and yeah, just as Hamish already said, definitely check out the podcast, guys, because that is obviously kind of just a new thing now that we've kind of done. That's been put. Well, that was just kind of what was it created really this week. So yeah, if you guys want to definitely support that, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Live podcasts on a Thursday or a Friday. At this stage, we haven't quite decided, but
yeah,
one of those 2 days, and then also pre-recorded on the Monday. But thank you all very much for tuning into this live stream. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Check out Rugby Itch as well. His channel link. It will be somewhere in terms of the videos that we have got on the channel, probably from that most recent preview. It'll be popping around somewhere there. But thank you all very much for tuning in. And we will see you all for the next one.